welcome race fans around the world. 75 countries tuning in yesterday. Pretty amazing stuff. So thank you all for watching our live coverage from the 49er and 49er FX World Championship. I'd love to do a long intro, but we've got a race coming up. So let's get out to the water. It's semifinals day, and the FX fleet, the women's Olympic skiff, are up first, and we'll talk to you all about them. But looks like they just have started, and it is one of the Danish boats. I'm here with Ben Riemacher.
Schutte doing the port tack option, closest to screen, followed by Jenna Hansen, Denmark 71, also coming to the port tack option, coming to the close side. Most of the fleet starting on starboard.
And Denmark with 3 boats making it into the semifinals, tied only with GBR, a number of boats in the finals here in the FX, and everybody headed to the right. That's what they say. In a northerly in Portugal, you head to the right. It hasn't been,
It was a very even race course yesterday, and we see, most boats heading left, actually, but because it was so even yesterday, there should be plenty of routes upwind. Again, you can see breeze is at probably 10, 12 knots right now with big ocean slow, maybe a little bit less than that, but we anticipate it building throughout the day.
We have Denmark 11 and Sweden 113, at least according to the tracker, seem to be having an issue. I'm not sure if we can have a look at the start line, but anyway, yeah, you can see them just kind of messing around there on the bottom left. And if you head over to the right side of your screen in YouTube, I think Ben's going to get a link to the tracker up there, or it's already up there, so you can watch along with the tracker. You can reverse it and see, and replay anything you want. You can check speeds, hovering over the hovering over the boats. You can see VMC, speed over the ground, heading lat long. Well, we don't really need lat long, but anyway, 20 boats, some of the best female sailors in the world out there, splitting nicely. The right side looking pretty strong on the tracker.
Sure is.
And 10 knots over the ground these boats are doing right now. So
yeah, it's perfect skiff sailing conditions right now. Challenging, but still very sailable. And we'll see if it's still sailable near the end of the day. As we can see here, Schutt and Nilsby taking the lead early in the day, or early in the race, but it's a long beat to go here. Well, it's not that long. 20-minute races, so the beats are only about 7-8 minutes long.
If you want to see where these teams stand going into this day 5 of our World Championship, you can head over to 49er.org and click on the World Championship link.
First comments in from Olympian Sarah Winter saying, "Come on, Kiwis." We saw the great shot of the 49er Kiwis jumping yesterday. 2 top Kiwi teams in this fleet. Our leaders overnight are Maloney and Meach, but also Dawson and Stewart had a great day yesterday and are in the top 10. So lots to cheer for if you're a Kiwi here.
Dawson Stewart, much younger, I think. I think they're really kind of straight out of junior team and great attitude. They love the breeze, like every Kiwi I've ever met. But really, to me, Alex Maloney, Molly Meach were kind of a step above anybody else, at least in the course we watched yesterday. Now, we didn't get to see Jenna Hansen. And
this is Aruba in the picture now, also in the top 10, actually, and second in the race right now, and top 10 overall. So they're sailing well. Going to the far right side here, they're approaching ley line, and we see them go for the tack. Sailing well so far.
Now the forecast is for this, just like yesterday, this
getting tacked on.
to build and build fairly rapidly.
Okay, so they've just got a lane there. That's tricky. We see in the center of screen, that's Martine Grail and Kaina Kunz tacking their provisional leaders in the race so far. So we're riding alongside the leaders of this race. There are a few boats that are going to challenge from the far side of the course, but it looks like Brazil could be first into the windward marks.
Caught a quick sight of proud dad Torben Grail yesterday. Both of his children advancing, Marco in the 49er and Martine here in the FX.
We see Martine and Kaina getting crosses on, that's the Gerges sisters, I think. Actually, 3 Germans here. Tough to make out which one that is. And then also crossing on the Kiwi boat. And as we jump back and forth between the tracker and the live coverage, just note the tracker is about 20 or 30 seconds delayed from our live coverage, so bear that in mind when you're thinking about it, but still a good way to figure out who's who on the race course, and we're back live with the leaders. Another tight cross here. This is with GBR, could be 44, which would be McGregor and Ainsworth. It is, yeah. So the McGregor and Ainsworth having a good race here. They're second in the race right now, or in a tight battle for second anyways. On their hip is France 971,
Sebessi Dubois.
Sebessi Dubois, newcomers to the top levels of 49er sailing.
Right. So look, what I was talking about before is if you got to watch yesterday, there we are on board with who's this? There we go, Jurchak and Lorenz. That's our third place at the European Championships. Vicky and Annika, great sailors, strong and very well composed. You can see the size of the swells from this angle. It's great. Swells are supposed to be the biggest of the week this afternoon, 2.5 meters on the wind wave forecast, or on the swell forecast. And then if the wind continues to build as forecast out of that northwest, we should have, we might have three plus meter waves here by the end of the day when the men come on the course. The men's 49ers semifinals will continue after we see 4 races here in the FX fleet, but it is gold medalist in Rio, Martine Grael and Kaina Kunz around easily. And Aruba having a bit of a tough approach, but they're going to get around second. So great job from Odile and Nicole as well. And
it's Vicky and Annika.
Yeah, Vicky and Annika coming around. But yeah, you know, as I said, you got to see yesterday just how fast and smooth Molly and Alex Maloney were downwind. What we didn't see because they weren't in our fleet was the top Danes, Jana and her crew, and
Katja Everson. Just some tough sets here as the teams try and get round marks to starboard. Not the typical wave we've been sailing skiffs for the last bunch of years, but a new feature. Ooh, at the back they're just getting spit out of the Argentinians, Travasco and Bran. Tough beat for them as they round last along with one of the Dutch teams. But these races, there's plenty to catch up on the downwinds because it's very tangled.
It's pretty light up there at the top mark as well. So light and lumpy at the top mark, maybe a little bit of wind shadow from the land, or maybe just very, very local. But you can see the Dutch boat there streaking off. That is, that's right, Annemiek Beckering and Jeske Kisters. And actually, no, we have another Dutch boat.
It's a bit of a skewed course again. So this, the teams are going to be sailing a little bit more on starboard than they will be on port. We see Martine Grael and Kaina Kunz going for their jibe, followed by Aruba.
I'll tell you what, and Ida Marie.
Oh, just looking back there, Tamara Echegoyen and Betanzos went for a jibe, but they got beat by the Kiwis behind them for the jibe. So then they bailed out of it and went straight again, so they would have a lane. But they lost a boat in the process, and they did that move to try and avoid losing 2. You can see how tight it is on these downwinds. Betanzos and Echegoyen really struggling right now to find lanes downwind.
That was a really downspeed jibe. They lost a lot of boat lanes in that. You could see they were right there alongside with the Germans, and now it's probably 5 boat lanes. So huge delta there.
On board with Jurchak and Lorenz as they have a nice lane into the bottom marks here. A huge pack behind them in the background. You can this is a format of racing we're just working on here to try and condense the Olympics to try and decide if we're going to have 20-minute Olympic races or the typical 30 minutes. So we've compressed the Gold Fleet racing here, or the semifinal, to be 20 boats in 20 minutes to see how everyone likes it. So far the action's tremendous.
Look at Vicky and Annika powering through to leeward there. Against Jenna Hansen and Katja Everson. Nice work from the Germans.
Yeah, every bit of boat speed counts double here. If you get rolled, it costs a lot, but they've looked like they've got good speed here. Look at the concentration on their faces.
Wow.
Every wave, it gets closer and closer to getting a wind shadow, but they look to me to be extending downwind, which increases their range as Annika just raises herself up slightly on the approach to the leeward marks.
Look at how tight it is here already. Grael and Kunze are around. And second place is?
I think that could be Aruba. A little tough to tell with the pixelation, but
I think it might be 669 actually. It might be Kuvert Jongens.
Okay, they straight set and went to the other side there.
Yeah, they came in from far away.
So we saw Vicky Jurchak and Annika Lorenz go for their drive drop there, and actually they came out with a nice lane. So very good sailing from those two.
You know who just snuck in from the far left looking upwind is Boyka and Lutz as well. So really great job from both men's and women's Germans teams. They're really standing out here this week. Haven't been much of a factor. At least the women's team.
Yeah, we're just in the foreground here. We've got GBR 44, McGregor, and Ainsworth. Underpowered right now. Ooh, a splash in. They got knocked over by a wave, and you can see how much they've lost. They're fighting to get a lane, and the Dutch team here, 669, is...
that's Dewey Couvert.
Okay, Dewey Couvert.
Yeah. So we have them as DED.
Oh, okay, got it.
So Kate and Sophie have got it back together, but that was a tough little teabag there. And, I think Kate was actually pretty cheery this morning. She's happy that they made Gold Fleet. They had a really rough regatta in Kiel, but doing a nice job here, keeping it together despite that little teabag. And they're looking to really have a good performance here this week. Got 3 GBR boats in this round.
You mentioned Lutz and
Sorry,
Boyka.
no, we don't. We have 2 because that's a GER.
You mentioned Lutz and Boyka, so they're in 4th right now and heading to the far left. That's the far offshore side of the course. Our leaders of the race, you can see just underneath the scoreboard. That's the Brazilians. They went to the far side and they've tacked back to cover most of the fleet heading to the right, as we saw in the first beat.
Lutz Boyka just crossed crossed Meach and Malone as well. And it's interesting looking at the speed numbers. It looks to me like the left has quite a bit more breeze. So
faster speeds you're seeing on the left side of the course?
Yeah, about a knot faster on the left.
Well, Lutz and Boyka were particularly fast in the Europeans. Obviously, they won it, and not by accident. So, and also Maloney and Meach, we noticed were sailing fast yesterday. So it could be a little bit of styles and skill, or it could be breeze. Like you say, a knot difference upwind is a big difference.
If you look at the tracks, though, on the leading red boat there, Germany, and the leading green boat, Brazil, you can see how down they are there for the last 30 seconds. So it might be one of those situations, again, pressure on the left, but shift to the right.
Or it could be, sailing styles or modes. This is back to the far right side of the course with Couvert is the Dutch team, and McGregor and Ainsworth. Oh, just a duck there from Danes. That is Denmark. Was that 71? Hansen and Everson.
Yeah, they've got a real issue.
No,
Denmark 11. Hansen and Everson are away.
That's Denmark 49. That was.
Nielsen Olsen.
Schutt and Nielsby that we just saw in the picture.
Okay, so Ida Marie. All right. Nielsen Olsen, which is generally the top Danish team, they've just rounded the bottom mark.
Nielsen Olsen, you're right. They're half a lap back.
Yeah, they were at the start.
The 3-time
they had
European champions. Okay, so they had a complication before the start. We also see Etchegoyen and Betanzos that far back too.
Yeah.
Back on board with Jersock and Lorenz, who are not had the greatest beat so far. The tracker showing them back in 10th place. So it seems like the teams that were a bit left on the course have maybe gained a small bit, like you said, going faster. And also some complication. Ooh, we see McGregor Ainsworth just tacked on the inside of them, so tough lanes to get there. You see that just buried the bow there, really tough. You don't want to be burying the bow in these conditions. It scoops water, keeps water in the boat, and slows you down for a little while, and also slows you down in the moment.
And interestingly, we saw them go through to leeward on Jena and Katja, and now we see them go through to leeward and easily outpace McGregor and Ainsworth. See if they can climb back up to that line and get themselves a little bit of freedom. You can see right there, Ainsworth on the right.
Center screen, Meach and Maloney going for their tack. They're on ley line for the windward marks here. In second place, according to the tracker. But very tight pack behind them. They tacked right on top of Aruba, who's just in back of screen, just creeping into the screen here. Aruba's in third place overall, so Maloney and Meach applying a tight cover to the Arubans, who are their closest challenger. Martine Grail and Kaina Kunz, out of picture to the right, are quite a bit ahead. Very healthy lead. They're on ley line. They should be able to approach the windward mark and do a straight set and keep really clean here. So good race for them. Good way to start the semifinal.
They seem to really be maintaining their height too. They're not really putting the bow down much, kind of just trying to hold lanes and maintain their lead and minimize distance sailed on the course.
Very classic race for them. Round the leeward mark clean, third of the way up, tack across, cover the fleet, and then get on ley line. So you see them just in picture now, setting with a healthy margin and with a short downwind. They should be able to hold that. Also extending here are Meach and Maloney and Meach, who weren't nearly that far ahead at the beginning of the upwind and have moved forward from the rest of the pack. And now a very tight pack here, all fighting for third.
They just sailed a brilliant beat. Meach and Maloney just sailed a blinder of a beat and putting themselves back in a brilliant position. It's 6 points after 6 races.
We can see Lorenz there hailing for teams to watch out. They're going to have a chance here. She's just setting up for the Bearaway. couple teams below them as they come in, do the mid bear off handoff. Very controlled there from Jersock, still on the wire as Lorenz gets the spinnaker up and back on the wire. Very comfortable maneuver for them. We can see with the tracker that they are trailing a bunch here. So they've got 4 boats ahead of them that they're going to try and work on with boat speed. Not fully committed to the traps yet as Lorenz just goes down, as does Jersock.
Some great battles just behind too. There's piles of boats, but especially there's a 4-boat pack: Germany, GBR, and Aruba. And the girls will be, I think, pretty happy that they're not in the survival conditions they were in at the end of yesterday. But I think there's plenty more to come. We've got 3 more races with the FX fleet after this. But Martine Grell and Kaine Kunz just sailing perfectly and extending their lead.
Yeah, good look from them. We catch up with our leaders as well as the leaders actually catch up to our camera boat. Very healthy lead here. They'll be thrilled to start the day like this. Actually, we've got Kaine's brother in the video boat too, so he gets a front row seat to check out his sister winning a semifinal race here.
We have some connectivity issues with the cameras outside, so we'll just keep bringing you back to the tracker while those get sorted. But I tell you what, my favorite shot is those onboards. It's so much fun to watch how these athletes handle these boats. Everyone can learn a thing or two about sailing dinghies from watching these phenomenons. Now, in the last few years, there hasn't really been a dominant team in the FX. I mean, there's been a few teams that, sort of 4 teams.
There's been 4 world championships ever and 4 world champions. So that's right. There hasn't been a dominant world champion. I would say Martine Grell and Kaine Kunz, leaders of this race, have had the best overall average finishes, lots of podiums, and obviously the gold medal in Rio and 1 world championship. Looking to get their 2nd right now. But, so back up.
So that's Lutz Boyka to Leeward, and looking at them from the other German boat. These are training partners for a long time, great friends, and they were 1st and 3rd at Europeans, and they are locked together here as well.
Yeah, that stage of the race course, as we see Maloney and Meach coming in for 2nd, that stage of the race course, Lutz and Boyka are just going to try and hold their lane and see if they can get the next jibe back, a very difficult spot. And that's a big pack coming in towards the finish line now, just entering picture. I think that's Dobson, that's Kate McGregor.
Oh, is it?
And Sophie Ainsworth, I think, GBR 44.
Nice work for them, staying ahead of that pack with the 2 Germans fighting each other. Nice job, and it looks like it'll be
Aruba there in the mix.
Looks like it'll be Germany 55. Yurchak Lawrence just edging out Lutz and Boyka for 3rd and 4th.
Is that the Arubans going through?
4th and 5th?
No, that's Australia.
That's Australia. That's
Haley Outeridge
and Nina
Curtis. Dutch, we think that's Couvert. Maybe a Kiwi team there. Another British team. Oh.
And Jenna Hansen almost pitching it in there.
Just reaching up to get inside the line. Wow, look how fast these boats all finish. We saw.
Screaming in is Sebezi Dubois, and they'll take out a couple there.
The Germans on the outside there really struggled to get across the line.
That was the Jurga sisters there. Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. I think a great result from Outeridge Curtis, who are, sort of really trying to get going and make a run at this for real. Get another Outeridge up on the leaderboard in the 49er world. That's
right. I think they spent quite a bit of time in Aruba sailing Nathan and Goob's boat while they were all, sorry, not Aruba, in Bermuda, while the America's Cup was going on. And we've just got 3 teams having complications in the race, but the rest of the boats all finished in about a minute. Just couple teams out the front, couple teams out the back, but a really tight pack in the middle there.
And listen, folks, since we didn't get to give you a good introduction before, we'll do it now. I'm Alan Block, and I'm joined by Ben Rimacher, Olympic 49er sailor himself, and the manager of the class. Great to have you here, Ben. And it's been an exciting morning a little bit, but it seems like most of the bugs are ironed out. But what a beautiful place to sail. I think I'd like to show you some of the folks that help make this championship possible. Let's have a word from our sponsors. Or not.
It's good racing. Yeah.
I'm really not getting bored of that actress in the Porto commercial, but a big thanks to all of our sponsors, especially our newest sponsor,
Kingfisher Ropes.
Kingfisher Ropes.
The race there, sorry we had a technical interruption, but we didn't miss any action. The teams are just setting up for race 2 of the day, race 2 of the semifinal, and we have some provisional results we can share from you. The combination of results is yesterday's qualifying and today's semifinal racing, and with a second place in the qualifying race there, in the Gold Fleet race, Maloney and Meach maintain their lead with a net of still 8 points overall. I think should be a 6. And Martine Grail and Kaina Kunz into second place at 14. You can see the rundown of the teams. The top 3 teams are all the medalists from Rio.
Exactly.
With Maloney on top instead of Martine Grail and Kaina Kunz.
Followed by the bronze medalist at Europeans last month and the silver medalist at Europeans last month. So not a big surprise. And Ida Marie and Marie Olsen with not a great result there, but still holding on to 6th place. So no big surprises here among the top 10.
Erica Dawson and Kate Stewart 14th in that race, so slipping back a few points. Kate McGregor and Sophie Ainsworth with a nice race in 9th. But a lot of the features, if we can just scroll down up there, guys, we'll just check out a little farther down the leaderboard, get familiar with who's racing in the fleet here. We can see now 10th to 18th. We got Schutt Nielsby. Who had a good race here? Let's look down the right column. 5th place, Lutz and Boyka. So our European champions in 12th overall right now. They had a good first race, climbed a few points back up, as did Aruba with Odile Van Aanholt and Nicole van de Velden. So competitive all the way to the bottom of the fleets. We see even in 18th place overall, Outeridge and Curtis with a 6th place. So trying to climb back up. Everyone will be trying to get into the top 10. The way the format's going to work is we're going to have 4 races today, followed by 2 semifinal races tomorrow. Then we'll split, and only the top 10 will move on to the final in the afternoon tomorrow, which will be in the theater style.
And that's going to be extremely exciting. It's a great little venue that we have to watch that. The wind should be pretty solid, at least from the forecast I'm seeing. So make sure to tune in tomorrow for that action. But we've got a lot left for you today. And for me, I mean, great result for Haley and Nina. A lot of people who've been watching this FX Fleet develop recently are just sort of waiting for them to get their legs, because we expect them to come on strong with all the support that they have and with the skills that they have. We'll see how it goes. But who else? Another team, the Norwegian team, Helene Nice and Marie Ronningen, had a really tough Euros, but coming back here and getting into Gold Fleet, feeling like they're starting to get their legs back under them.
They trained really hard at through the winter, went down to Australia and did a couple regattas, and I think they're probably disappointed with their European season so far, or at least their major championship season, but there's a chance here for them to make it into the Gold Fleet, and I'm sure they'd be thrilled with that. Sorry, the final, already in the Gold Fleet. We see now race 2 of the day, 2 of 4 with 1:30 left to go. The breeze is already quite strong. Look at the flags blowing hard on the committee boat. Already a few more white horses and quite sizable seas. Higher wind speed now than we saw at the same time yesterday. So the forecast for a lot of breeze could be
one model has
true.
up to 40. So,
right.
but a minimum of 20 knots by I think about 1 o'clock and building from there. So it should be sporty. Certainly when the men come out, it's going to be very sporty. But I think already getting sporty here. Fortunately though, for these fleets, we don't see nearly as many capsizes as when you have the mixed fleets, where you've got a lot of more newbies and less experienced sailors.
Everyone's got their limit in these boats, though, so we'll see where this fleet's limit is. On board with Jersock and Lorenz as they line up for the start. 49 seconds to go. You can see Skipper holds the main sheet there, interchanging it with her mouth in her hand as she also holds her trapeze. Very busy job for the skipper in the pre-start as they work to gain position, have a clear line to the start. The boat above there, that's British sailing team, Dobson and Tidy, trying to do a double tack there and just get a little bit more space than they have right now. Not able to do a full double tack, so just going head to wind and trying to gain some space. You can see how hard they're having to work the tillers.
Very different approach, though, from what we saw in the really big breeze yesterday, where they hung well off. Now these guys are starting to really push the line.
Yeah, in a qualifying fleet, there isn't as much room. There's way more room, so you can get away with a lot more. Here in the finals, you've got to line up and take your spots. Yeah. We see just in the foreground, closest to the boat, our overall leaders, Maloney and Meach. a little bit late in pulling the trigger, and the Swedes trying to duck inside them. They didn't make it, stuck on the committee boat, and maybe that's what Maloney and Meach were waiting for, saved themselves a bit of drama there, and they actually got a decent start at the boat end. Punched in the middle looks to me to be a Spanish boat, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's Tamara Echegoyen for sure, and
Maloney
Maloney Meach win the boat, but a little bit late as the one Danish boat already over here, once again working to bang that right corner.
Yeah, it's the same technique we saw Schutte and Nielsby use yesterday and in the first race. First boat to the right. Also, it's almost a replay of the last race with Janne Hansen and Katja Iversen, Denmark 71, also heading right. We didn't see that technique particularly pay off in the first race, but they're obviously committed to it. We saw, mid-fleet or quite a few routes upwind. I think Grail and Kunz went up the middle in the second beat there. So lots of routes upwind here, but some teams committing to the sides they've chosen. And the tracker is showing early gains to the teams heading to the right.
It's interesting, too, because the two British boats split completely, one at the pin, one at the boat. The two and the two Kiwi boats split completely, one at the pin, one at the boat. So
yeah, there isn't a lot of team orders on the race courses. Coaches, for the most part, teach principles and let the sailors make their choices and interpret, and often those interpretations are completely opposite.
Well, with these coaches, though, I mean, obviously, a lot of these teams have dedicated weather people giving them information in the morning, giving them calls and letting them know what they think the microclimate's going to be. Would the coach say, "Look, bang the right, everybody"? Or no, it's not.
No, I mean, no one's willing to put their head in a block like that in sailing. Not the weather people, not the coaches. Certainly, they teach principles. It's really up to the sailors to interpret and take what they can off the water. I mean, I think that's what everyone was doing. Loads of work in Rio, and Martine Grail said, just look at what you see and sail from that, and she took the gold. So you really do have to have a fundamental understanding of what's going on and then be able to work in the moment. And that's what all these teams are trying to do right now. We have about a 50-50 split between right and left on the fleet, so no agreement on which way it is best to go yet, but most teams with a clear lane. Everyone had a clear start this time, or at least a decent start, and it'll be a bit of boat speed right now as the teams just try and get those extra feet and inches so they can make the crosses later in the beat.
Now, we haven't seen much from Travascio and Bronze this week yet, but what about this Argentine team? What can you tell us?
Well, the Argentinians, Travascio and Brantz, they were committed right from the start of the quad and sailed really well. They pressed and pushed themselves up into the medal conversation right before the Olympics, taking a bronze at the South Americans in the 2015 Worlds. But maybe didn't have their best regatta at the Olympics itself, but really strong contenders, like always in the conversation, maybe not like right at the front, but always sort of top 10, maybe even higher, pushing. And they were really happy with how they sailed yesterday. They typically haven't been a big breeze team. They're, especially Vicky, the helm, is quite diminutive, but they've obviously got the technique figured out. They had a fantastic day yesterday in the fleet we didn't watch. Just a bit of a tight cross there, but no particular shouts that we can or gestures we can see.
That's Dobson.
Oh, tidy. As I say that, I think actually there was a protest there. We can see the Dutch team. Oh no, they're just going for a duck. Okay. So, but yeah, the early gains to the teams that went the farthest right there. Actually, McGregor and Ainsworth, GBR 44, middle of screen, and then
Hansen Everson looking very strong, looking like they are probably in the lead at the moment.
And the tracker is showing good pace out of them too. So could be that the right side has a slight edge, but if you look at the track, you can see very close. On board here with Jersak and Lorenz, as they have that's the Norwegian teams we were just talking about. Nace and Ronningham just below them. Norway 26. You can see just how close they're getting to shore, and we'll be even closer tomorrow for the finals to the shore side in the theater style.
Beautiful beaches here in Matosinhos. As you can see right there.
Jersak and Lorenz are in tight here. They're in 10th place in the race, which means that they could get to the windward mark anywhere from 6th to 18th, and every meter is going to count as they roll Ronningham and Nace. And really pushing right. They're one of the farthest right boats or two sets of teams right there. So they're getting pushed out on the ley line. Probably going to have to sail some extra distance into the windward mark. Probably Hansen and Everson are on ley line, and they've had to go a good 10 boat lengths farther out to the right. So extra distance there won't help them. Center of screen, we've got Maloney and Meach, who once again using their upwind boat speed. They've come in from the left side of the course and are second in the tracker. Fourth in the trackers. All the teams are still too tight to separate, really, but front row for sure.
That New Zealand 16 right there, Maloney Meach, closest to us.
Going to have a cross coming up with Betanzos and Echegoyen and Betanzos, I should say. Are the Spanish going to go for the cross here? It looks like they are. And also then there's going to be a undertack from the Spanish, undertack from Martin Grail. So 3 world champions all lined up on the approach to the windward mark here. I think Grail and Koens are going to be in really tough to hold that lane. They've got a Dutch team just below them.
Look at Everson and way out in the front there.
This is fantastic. We've got every contender in a drag race here to the windward mark. Echegoyen and Betanzos just stretching out and bearing off, trying to impose their will on the teams below them. Looks to me like Maloney and Meach are falling back. They could have been a little overstood, so just follow around. Coming in from the far side, we've got a British boat. I think that might be McGregor and Ainsworth, but I can't quite tell the number. It is McGregor and Ainsworth. So another good race for them so far, another good first beat anyways, as they undertack, probably be able to get the ley line from the lower point before everyone rolls them. We'll see if, I think Maloney and Meach have now separated out to the right. They're going to try attack Barraway and go to the other gate. With such short beats, we're experimenting with the 2-gate, or the windward gate system, and Maloney and Meach are going to take that escape valve on this mark. As our leaders, Hansen and Everson, head round to port.
And you can see that, I mean, there was even a further right shift after everyone tacked the ley line, because everyone, even the guys who were looking under laid, are now on ley line.
Let's see who's taking it from the pack there. I think
that was Argentina coming around there. So again, this is slightly delayed from the live pictures you see.
McGregor and Ainsworth were next round on the straight gate.
And Jurchak and Lorenz are right behind their countrymates again. Look, Germany won 3 in a row from Germany right there.
Yeah.
The Jurga sisters in the middle.
This is just about as tight a race, One Design Racing, as you can imagine. These tight fleets and great conditions here for them all to race in, all fully powered up. These I call them the left-handed Barraway sets. A little bit trickier as the spinnakers are kept on the left side of the boat, so they actually have to hoist it and have it go around the forestay to get it set. That's why you don't see it quite so clean on the sets as we see our Maloney and Meach here blasting downwind. They had a clean set and look very comfortable getting up to speed, and I'm sure our cameraman will get some coverage of them here as they go for their jibe already.
Watch the crew work, watch the synchronization. When I talked to Meach last night, she said yesterday, they got all those 3 bullets and a second place, and it was all about just being in sync with each other. That's what she said was the biggest difference of anything, was they just felt like they hardly had to speak to each other at all.
Very well, they're ahead of the Brazilians, so the Brazilians have to attack just on top. Maloney and Meach will be hoping that wind shadow doesn't fall on them. They should be far enough through that they get through, but look at this, the surgeon side. The Swedes getting held out on the jibe. They want to go for the jibe, but just got to wait for the boat inside. That's the Gerga sisters and twins, Yulia and Lotta jibing on top of them, and they'll make the pass from there.
And Bobek and Tangstrom, is this their first semifinals at a Worlds?
Yes, it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
You can actually tell anyone with a 3-digit number has never been in a semifinal before, or a gold fleet. As we use this is the same battle we saw on the upwind. So the Norwegians getting their revenge here on Jursak and Lorenz, as they are in a very dominant position, should be able to pull the roll off. Looks like Lorenz, or Jursak and Lorenz, had a bad jibe there and then got rolled by their
we've got
by the team they rolled on the upwind.
Kuvert and Jungens looking nice in 4th place, but Tamara Echegoyen and Berta Bentanzo have pulled into 3rd. They're looking to recover a little bit from that tough performance yesterday.
Just front a picture here, I think that's the Gerga sisters, Germany 8-10. Again, their first trip to a semifinal. And if they're on ley line, they'll have made some nice gains here. They're on starboard all the way into the mark.
And what's that far blue boat there?
That's France 971.
Okay.
I think.
This is a really tight pack here on this second leg of the second race in the semifinal round. You can see the leading boat already going around. That's Hansen Everson.
And coming to the near side, we should see on the screen pretty soon is that's McGregor
Kate, yeah.
and Ainsworth. Good race from them again. They've got a really great lane out here. It's totally clear wind. The leaders of the race, Hansen and Everson, had to deal with a little more traffic of the downwind boats. Look how tight this leeward mark's going to be.
Oh, that is a pretty tight pack. 4 or 5 boats overlapped. Oh, my Lord. looking from Jerchak Lorenz.
And you can see how the waves are affecting everyone's roundings as teams are struggling to actually make the roundings. Those boats were going way past the mark as one boat struggled and everyone had to go around them. Super tight. So we've been trying to give people an escape valve at the windward mark because the race is so short, and one of the things we're finding is now the leeward gates are incredibly close. But look who escaped. The racing skills of Grail and Kunz are tremendous. They get clear of the pack, made the pass on Maloney and Meach, or at least held their advantage.
I'll tell you what we didn't see, okay? We saw that Hansen and Everson had a big lead on that run. I don't know exactly what happened, but I think they must have had a really bad rounding, because right now Kate McGregor and Lucy Ainsworth are ahead of them by quite a bit. So
yeah, when they rounded, they might have had a bad rounding, but they also had a bunch of wind shadow on top of them, whereas McGregor and Ainsworth were super clean and able to hit the near shore, and it looks like they've taken the lead on this race.
Yeah, big swing in the distance between those two boats, and really nice job from McGregor and Ainsworth. And Ben, wasn't Kate in the 470 in the last round?
No, Kate sailed 49er for a bit last time, but then teammates didn't work out, so she stopped sailing. But now did some other match racing and other things. And then she's back now with Ainsworth, who went to the Olympics with
Charlotte, right?
With Charlotte Dobson, yeah, who's now sailing with Saskia Tidy. So a bit of a swap around of the skippers and crews, and there's actually 5 British FX teams that are all competing, some of them younger, coming through the 29er ranks, and then the couple veteran crews there.
So yeah, you can see right there a little bit of not going all the way to ley line, leaving themselves some options. Kate McGregor and Lucy Ainsworth there on the GBR 44 looking for the cross on Den 71. Should be fairly easy. But yeah, Jenna Hansen, very cheerful in the boat park this morning. In a very good mood, very excited to go sailing in sunny and nice weather and not insane conditions. Really kind of perfect sailing right now.
Yeah, we see this is the fight for the lead right here. We think that McGregor and Ainsworth are going to make the cross on Hansen and Everson as they go to it now. In a bit of a tough spot since they're below ley line. They could end up having to do an extra maneuver, but with a 4 or 5 boat length lead there, fairly safe. Front of picture, but in the background there is Spain 23, Echegoyen and Betanzos in 3rd place in the race. So they're heading back towards the camera, and will be crossed by McGregor and Ainsworth. But a good race from them after a really poor first race from them, with them finishing in 19th.
And Echegoyen and Grail are sort of bow to bow on opposite sides of the course too, coming together. So we'll see who's ahead there. That's been a nice rivalry over the years. It's funny, some people are making the right pay again and some people are not. I don't exactly know why that is, but it's great to see that there's nobody dominant at all. These leads are changing constantly from the front to the back. And Aruba 515 having a little bit of a shocker right now, sitting well at the back, along with Ida Marie and Marie Olsen as well. And you can see that pack over all the way on the left.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a lot easier to be leading or in the front few boats than it is to be in the middle of the pack. The whole fight for 49ers in the middle of the pack. I can see only about 10 boat lengths separating 4th from 17th place, whereas the leaders get to stretch out and just sail a straight line. So it's going to be really tight in this ley line. We've seen already Jersak and Lorenz fight it out with Norway 26 a few times, and they still are on this beat as well. Sorry, we've been calling the wrong number all day. It's GBR 44 is Dobson and Tidy, not McGregor and Ainsworth. So they're in the lead. Good for them. Sorry. McGregor and Ainsworth are number 99.
Which looks like 44 too, and it looks like 44 in the resolution that we're forced to deal with right now.
Okay, so we see them do the 2 tacks up to the windward mark there. Still ahead of Denmark 71.
I'm actually going to play it back here for a second and just see if I can tell what happened at that bottom mark to Jenna Hansen.
We see the leaders coming into the windward mark. Dobson and Tidy. good for them. Dobson, the Rio Olympic skipper, and Tidy, Olympian from Ireland, who switched her nationality over to the UK this time to race for GB.
So it wasn't like a giant mess up at the bottom mark. What it was is that Charlotte Dobson pounced. They were working their way down the whole time and pounced and forced Jena around the left mark, and they had to do a 270-degree turn. And then the Brits came in fast and hard and just turned up on the other board, and that was the difference.
Okay, Betanzos and Etchingoing go around, then Maloney and Meach, then Grail and Kunz.
So Maloney and Meach catches Grail and Kunz on the right, and they both lose out to the Spanish on the left.
Netherlands 669, that's Kuert, followed by Germany 810, Gerga sisters. France 971, Sebastian Dubois.
Only one French team's made it into the semifinal fleet here.
And then Lutz Boyka, GER 9. The Swedish team coming back up. Bobek and Tengstrom back on board with Chersock and Lorenz as they approach the windward marks as well.
Let's stay with them and watch this bear away in the slightly bigger breeze right now, maybe 14 knots out there.
Annika, the crew there, a tremendous athlete. Look at the quick hands there and passes off the main sheet just to get the timing right in the waves.
And she was breathing heavy, though, a little bit there as well. So despite her ridiculous fitness, as you can see, she's working hard. And look at the pack behind him.
The only point in having the muscles is to use them, and these girls have them in spades. Getting a little bit of pressure from behind from Annemiek Beckering and Jeske Kisters. Oh, no, that's actually the Kiwis who have rolled Beckering and Kisters already. That's
the younger Kiwis, isn't it? Yeah, that's Dawson Stewart.
But very, very good set from the German pair, Chersock and Lorenz, as they are to leeward and bow out. They'll be able to sail full speed here all the way as far as they choose to get their lane back.
And they're digging out they're getting separation to leeward as well. Look at the lead there for Dobson, Tidy.
Coming in for the win.
That'll be their first win of the regatta, I think. Not exactly sure.
Everyone can check the results themselves in parallel pages on 49er.org. Just follow the hot link to the Worlds page. Just coming in here with the Brazilians as they're in a deep trough and just slow down as they kind of wait for the wave to get them and then accelerate again.
And is that Meach behind them now?
Yeah, that is Meach behind them.
So another pass. These passes never end. I mean, this reminds me of Rio, you know?
Yeah, it's a super tight fleet here, and just getting the jump or getting a couple waves right, boat speed, all sorts of reasons all sorts of pitfalls and opportunities. And
this is what so many people were sending me messages last night because you got to watch the Kiwis in that fleet where they dominated.
I think they're going to have to go for one more jibe here to get through the finish line unless they soak down. Oh.
What was that?
The tracker's showing that as GBR 44. Yeah.
I wonder if the two British trackers are switched around.
Anyways, they soaked down and made it through.
We'll come around in, looks like fourth.
We'll try and get confirmation on who that is on the capsize.
So Etchigoyen was able to get...
I'm going to guess that is the British. I think they might have just pissed it in the lead. I think Saskia wears a white top, and you can see how hard she's working. That's not someone who's a lap back. That's someone who's fighting for every place. As probably the skipper is taking down the spinnaker and then waiting to...
Yeah, they dropped it on the jibe.
I think they actually might have just had a collision there.
They were in the lead, and they dropped it on the jibe.
Oh, wow. So that's a heartbreak from the lead into basically last on one mistake. Just going to recover here. So we just in the back down there, we see...
it looked like
Dawson and Stewart struggling a little bit. So obviously the pressure's up, and with these waves, it's treacherous. And that does put them back into how many boats we got through here, Alan?
We've only got two or three boats left.
We do have another capsize up on the course.
That's Haley Outeridge and Nina Curtis, I think.
That's right. So it looks like the Brits are going to recover only to about 15th place.
Wow. What a change of fortunes for Charlotte Dobson, Saskia Tidy, sailing a perfect race until the final 50 meters and the final jibe and pitching it in. and allowing Jenna Hansen to get back into the lead and take it home.
Ooh, what a mistake from someone who's trying to challenge for a world championship. Home and away, got to get your maneuvers in. I mean, it's not going to be easy. We are going to see more capsizes today as this wind continues to build and the seas are already big, but it did look like it should be conditions they should be able to handle right now.
Do we have? Do you have the ability to? Can you guys put the cursor on that player and just wind back a little bit to watch? I don't know if you have on your screen, but folks, if you're watching at home, of course you're able to do it. That on that time slider bar on the bottom. Oh, maybe they can, maybe they can't, but yeah, no, it's pretty cool to watch. Maybe we'll set it up so we can control that tomorrow.
Thumbs up from our controller there. So, but intense racing, a very, very consequential finish there. You know, adding an extra 15 points from your score, no one's going to be able to afford that. That's the kind of number that moves you from contender to mid-pack in the top 10. Let's say they're already having a decent regatta, but those are the points no one can afford.
Yeah, there's no question. And Dobson Tidy they haven't been consistent in this regatta. They've actually had 2 bullets, but they had a 16. They had some tough finishes already, and this one's going to really hurt their chances at podiuming here at the Worlds.
If I can recall correctly, I believe Dobson and Ainsworth at the Olympics also had a critical capsize in the medal race. So perhaps memories of that flooding back, or perhaps nothing. I mean, but it's that's devastating for the duo. Yeah, I know how ambitious they are. They've been working really hard for this. Probably no one worked harder this winter than that team. They were a new team, but they put in the hours. They're already both, elite sailors, Olympians, and they'll be really ambitious for this championship. So those 15 points, we'll have to keep an eye on it.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking with us through slight technical issues. The racing is great. The athletes are amazing. And the town's pretty cool too. But I'd like to give a little special shout out to our friends at Spinnaker Watches. I really like this one. It weighs about 30 pounds, but I know that if I'm diving on a submarine that it's going to hold up. That's not the really cool one though. The really cool one's this one. This is the 49er Olympic Special Edition watch from Spinnaker Watches. You can head over to spinnaker-watches.com right now. Buy your own. Get 25% off if you put LIVE25 in the coupon code at checkout. And please be sure to tell them that we sent you. I tell you what, I had a friend in the Melgus fleet call me up and say, how do we get them to make us our special edition watches too? So maybe it's something you want to award at your next championship, is a special edition watch with your yacht club or your class engraved on the back.
You can actually do custom engraving, yeah. So if you purchase the 49er watch and ask for special engraving, go ahead and do that. That's no problem at all.
All right, let's have a look at Spinnaker watches while we wait for the next race to get ready to go. Ben, just looking at the wind readings right here off of Lecce de Matosinhos, it's really up and down. I mean, we're in the shadow of the land a little bit here and only showing 4 gusting 9, but it's super up and down at several stations around here. So it may look pretty steady to you guys out on the water, but it's not by a long shot.
The forecast today, well, there's a few forecasts. Some of them have it peaking at just a little bit less than we had yesterday. Some of them have it, what do you call it, a trough coming through at 3:15 that could be up to 40 knots. Let's hope that that somehow bypasses us. We're now at just 12:20 local time, so the 49er FX fleet here will certainly be fine in terms of timing. It's just whether or not how hard it hits the 49er fleet just a little bit later. A reminder of the lineup now: we have 2 more races of the 49er FX semifinal, followed by 4 races of the 49er semifinal.
And if you'd like to watch this track live tracker that we've got, or near live, it's about 20 seconds delayed, but you can certainly look at the comments on the right side of the screen on YouTube and head over to the link that Ben's putting up in just a second and watch the tracking yourself. One of the coolest things about it to me is the ability to rewind it and fast forward it and watch exactly what happened. And while these GPSs aren't good enough to use for race committee work or most protests, in fact our coverage here helped the Aruban team get a couple of places when the race committee made a scoring error.
Well, I'm just discussing an error right now with all our fans online who are trying to remind me who the leaders were of Dobson and Tidy instead of McGregor and Ainsworth. So sorry, I apologize to all the British fans out there. I should have known better. Girls have been sailing with 44 for a while now. But yeah, I mean, live coverage, it's got to be the way forward. We hope to bring it to you in as best form as we can and just do the best as we can every time we do. And thank you for tuning in and supporting our sponsors that help bring it to you.
And please be sure to share this link with your yacht club, with your sailing program, with your national team, with anyone that you think might enjoy it. Just copy that YouTube link at the top of the screen and go paste it on Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram or Snapchat or Weibo or whatever you're using.
Wow.
Did I get them all?
I don't know, but we're just checking in with the post we're putting online, where we're sharing all the that's on Facebook, where we're sharing all the different links and just chatting with people asking about the postponements and all the rest. So there's lots of routes to get to us. The easiest two are to give us a comment on YouTube. We're checking that every race, and also on the Facebook post for this event. Also, had plenty of dock walks and great interviews so far through the week, all on our Facebook channel. So check those out in between races if you're tired of hearing from us. I think we actually can pull one in there, though. Is there one that you want to keep?
There's a short one that I want to throw to. It's not an FX team that's made it into this gold medal fleet or this gold fleet, but it is. There was a lot of work going on in the boat park yesterday. A lot of work, okay? Boats were...
The Polish team working away till late at night.
But it wasn't just them. I just was struck because they were drilling and they were working so hard and stuff. But just have a quick look at some of what goes on in the boat park at the end of a big air day. What's going on here? Who wants to tell me about this little workshop we got going over here?
We're trying to put this one into the boat. But first we need to drill it, so yeah.
Did you tear it out today?
No. We just want to innovate the boat so it would work more smooth. So that's why we're changing and inserting something like this into this hole, so you can see here.
Yeah. Show me.
Yeah,
Okay.
here. Yeah, because then the ropes can easily block here and
they can run smoother.
Yeah.
Tell me your names.
My name is Alexandra.
What's your last name?
Merzacka.
And you?
And I'm Kinga Loboda.
And you're from Poland?
Yeah.
And how do people find you on Facebook? Do you have a page?
Not yet. Not yet. We have it on Instagram. Yeah.
All right. Well, we enjoyed watching you sail out there today. Did you enjoy sailing out there? It was a little tough?
Yeah, it was a little tough, but we enjoyed sailing. Yeah. It was really nice. The weather conditions were really nice. It was windy and a lot of sun, so quite good sailing conditions.
Did you go swimming at all?
A
little swimming?
Yes, a little bit.
Most people had a little swimming.
Yeah, we had it, yeah.
It's okay to admit.
Yeah, it's okay. We are young. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Good luck with your construction project.
Yeah, thank you.
You see my terrible camera work, but yeah, really interesting to see all the work going on last night. I counted, I think, about 40 different boats that were making some sort of repair or replacement, mast base, a lot of halyard issues, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it was a couple mass tracks. I'll just explain what was going on there. So that's one of the older 49ers, and the holes that went through the older 49ers weren't big enough to be super smooth, so they were drilling that out and then just putting in a brass
These are the
fitting.
holes for the Cunningham, things like
Yeah,
that?
just to retrieve the Cunningham away so it keeps it super clean. The whole concept of the 49ers, the boat's kept really clean so you can run back and forth without tripping and hurting yourself. And that's one of the older boats kind of being upgraded, if you will, or really brought up to the regular spec. But yeah, the Polish teams here, they got a young squad of 3 49er FX teams working really closely together. Really passionate sailors. The one girl hurt her wrist a little bit yesterday. It's not broken. I'm going to try it today and see how we go. Like really passionate sailors, and you see they're doing all the work and getting the boats ready.
And they've got a great men's squad here as well, including Pavel and Lukasz, who are wonderful sailors, doing very well. One of your favorites out there, and everyone knows that there are few people in the world tougher than Poles. They are like the toughest people. That's what happens when you're surrounded by warlike countries for a few hundred years. But yeah, great stuff from the Poles, and unfortunately none of them made it to Gold Fleet in the FX, but certainly in the 49er fleet, we'll be watching that top Polish team later today. We are just waiting on results, and we're, I think, just about 4.5 minutes out from the third race of the day. I tell you what, Ben, I don't know about the traditionalists out there or the starboat sailors or whatever, but I love 20-minute races. They're nice. Well, they're a lot of fun.
Send us your feedback. I don't think 20-minute races are for everyone, but it certainly fits the culture of this fleet and how it's always been sailed. And we're just trying to make it really exciting to watch, and it's kind of a different generation. Certainly, it's a different set of skills that go into it. You're not going to get the big strategy stuff. You're not going to get some of the long-term weather pieces. But in terms of the core sailing techniques of sailing your boat fast, getting your maneuvers right when it counts, playing your lanes and your tactics to get it right, I think it still challenges all the right types of sailing skills, and hopefully it's entertaining at the same time.
It's also, they're sort of, in 20 minutes, they're sailing the same distance as the starboats would in an hour. So anyway, these little 49er FXs, it turns out they're actually quicker than 49ers when the breeze really gets up, because they've got less drag. And
the FX, we redesigned the spinnaker in the 49er now, so it was a 16-year-old design and really couldn't keep up with how fast the boats were sailing until this quad. But there's a newly designed 49er spinnaker now, and I think the 49ers are still king of the pile in the boat park, at least. We've talked about bringing small rig, big rig concept like the 18-footers do to up the wind range in the past. But right now the 49er sailors can handle quite a bit of wind, probably as much as the waves would ever allow anyways. So hasn't
realistically,
featured yet.
They rarely lose racing to too much wind. You might lose a race here and there, but you don't have 30 knots that frequently around the world where you have to worry about it too much. It works with the 18s because they're in Sydney Harbor, where the afternoon sea breeze can be 30 knots frequently.
And they also get to put up a monster small rig. I mean, it's not like they don't compensate the other way. So it seems like a pretty good balance. Often boat park talk goes the way it goes, though. Minute 30 to our next race, and plenty yet to be determined today. It's still a really tight battle with all the teams we featured in the last race. Dobson and Tidy, if you recall, capsized while in the lead, only 100 meters or so ahead of the finish line, and that they were in fourth overall going into that race. So a really heavy penalty. They were in contention for the podium, and certainly in contention for the regatta. There is a drop race that comes in after 4 races, so we'll see that incorporated to the results once 2 more races happen today. But a very stiff penalty because wins aren't easy to come by.
Well, and the problem too is that Dobson Tidy already have a 16. Oh no, this different set. Okay,
That's
new
right.
Drops, right? So we're limited to the semifinal round now. So everything else
for those of
stands.
you looking
Got it.
on the results tab on 49er.org, the first 6 races are all keepers from now on. Those results are set in stone, and there's going to be 1 drop after 4 races of the semifinal.
Click on
30 seconds to go. We see a bigger gap to the line this time. That tells me it's windier. Actually, looking at the flags, it looks quite windy now. So we saw some of the best sailors capsize in that race, and I'm going to expect a couple more capsizes in this one. Dobson Tidy, GBR 44. Great spot right ahead of the boat here. As long as they don't get pinched out to leeward, which they shouldn't when everyone bears away, they should be able to have a nice start here. We do see a bunch of teams setting up for the port tack option as teams just start to sheet in and bear away.
Big battle for this right side here for sure.
Yeah. Oh, we see some of the boats coming for the port tack option.
Meech Maloney,
might be a bit early.
Meech Maloney again winning the boat.
Yeah, and we see just the look. So the teams that tried for the port tack option and got to it, this is Kit McGregor and Ainsworth, the only ones through. Everyone else got their timing wrong, went too early for the port tack option. Yep. That was Schutte and the Argentinians, Travasco
and
Brands.
The Arubans down there as well. So
we see
really
Jenna Hansen, who won the last race, also going back right. We've seen that from her in both the first two races, but a little bit more chaotic on the start as teams are trying harder to find ways to get right.
Yeah, that left is looking worse and worse as the day progresses here. And Schutte and Nielsby also coming right. Both Dutch boats there in the center of your image coming right. And I haven't seen Martine Grail yet come over. But Meech continuing on starboard, it looks like. So that's Jenna Hansen and Katja Iversen there on the right, leading out to the right. And it looks like Dewey Couvert and her crew and Annemiek in the middle there.
Couvert sailing with Jongens this week because the Dutch crews always trade around.
They trade around for a while, and for the next year or so, or a little bit less, and then apparently what they told me is then they sort of settle in and figure out who works best with who, and focus on their team, building their team together. Great camaraderie, though, amongst almost all these teams. You don't see this, certainly at this point in the cycle, you don't see the secrecy and the rivalries really developing yet. Everyone's trying to progress together, and a rising tide lifts all boats. There on the right. Yeah, I think we've got the that's
McGregor and Ainsworth, GBR 99.
It is on the tracker. I'm not sure it is in real life. I think
no, it is. I saw it this time. It was 99.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So that's McGregor and Ainsworth, who are the far right boat this time. They were a little bit higher for the port tack option and managed to punch through as Schutte and the Argentinians got stuck on the committee boat, ran out of space. And from what we've seen so far, the right side we think will pay off, at least in a small amount, and it seems to be showing that way in the tracker right now. Top of screen, I think that's Jenna Hansen as the lead boat from this image, and I think most likely we've got the British just out of picture to the right, who are leading the pack. We can see a lot of boats fighting right. There's still plenty heading to the left, including some of the favorites like Echegoyen and Betanzos.
I don't think they had much choice. I mean, there was about 9 boats there just locked in a half a boat length from each other, holding their lane.
That's the big risk of getting a decent but not great starboard tack start, is you really don't get to choose which way to go because everyone else does the same type of start and holds you out. So a lot of people say winning the start isn't necessarily the start isn't won until you can do what you want, and just having a decent start on starboard isn't always the best solution.
The amount of concentration it takes to hold your lane in these big waves too is really extensive. I mean, one little mistake and then you're washed out. Streaking across, looks like the 99 boat, right?
It does look like the 99 boat. I'm a little bit gun-shy to call it, but we believe that's actually Ainsworth, or McGregor and Ainsworth this time, taking the lead. Maybe our cameraman can just pan back to the left when the boats get right, or get there. We see them just crossing. Crossing their teammates, GBR 44. So here we go. This is both British boats in a tight cross with each other. We can see Dobson and Tidy just passing behind their countrymen and then heading back up. So they're in a good position again this race, and we'll be looking to make up for mistakes of the last race.
And we definitely have it right now. I'm just verifying it with the tracker. So
the next cross is with the Swedes, but the pretty comfortable cross there, as we can see in picture, more than 5 boat lengths separating the two. And I think we're seeing the boats on the far right of screen, just out of screen now, taking the lead out of McGregor and Ainsworth, who undertacked the ley line. It seems like our new leaders here are Hansen and Iversen. The Danes, number 71, bronze medalists from Rio, not really looking settled just now. I wonder if we caught them just after attack, but not looking super steady here as they try and get in a rhythm to get into the windward mark, or maybe it's just that choppy that it's too difficult.
Nielsen and Olsen right on the hip of Jenna Hansen and Katja Everson as well. So good little double Dane battle.
Just spotting actually their mid leech is already fluttering, possibly from yesterday's high wind speeds. So possibly that's one of the things holding them back right now. Just don't have it quite set up. You see them trapping quite high and having to adjust quite a bit. So they're not quite as steady as what we saw from Dobson and Tidy.
Everyone's trapping kind of high. Is that just because of the waves? You have to keep your backside out of the water?
Yeah. It's also one of the techniques you can use to convince yourself to sail the boat more upright, because if the higher you are, you then bring the boat kind of onto you, almost like a windsurfer. And they look better now, actually. It looks like they're in a better rhythm, surfing the waves a little better. Just in back of screen, we got Nielsen and Olsen, their teammates, Denmark 11. Let's see how they look. Typically one of the strongest teams in breeze, and no surprise here to see the two Danish teams up near the front. Nielsen and Olsen were really happy to be sailing in the big breeze again, but they said they still feel a bit rusty. We had them in studio yesterday. They spent a lot of the winter studying and missed out on Olympic selection last time, even though they're three-time European champions. Just getting back really into the rhythm of things, but they're committed for 2020 and committed to getting the games themselves this time, and also they were really proud of the work they did with their teammates. So we did see just confirmation there that these two Danes have passed the Brits. McGregor and Ainsworth, just a bit of a tight cross here as McGregor and Ainsworth have to undertack.
Yep.
That's Beckering with Yesters, and then
Grail
see
and
if they can,
Kunze. Look at that. I mean, it's a nice
see
little
if they
battle
can
there.
hang on to get to the windward mark. Look how tight that pack is as they all head in. See if some of them opt for the right gate, but
Hansen goes around.
looks to me like the Brazilians have come out of that pack, managed to roll the Brits.
And stay ahead of Beckering as well. So nice job from
Beckering,
Grail
just the
Kunze in
outside
third.
wheel.
And there goes Beckering, I think. Nice orderly procession. Very few boats coming in from the left, which it seems like everyone's starting to agree that the right is where you need to be at the top half of the course for sure.
Yeah, we see a couple boats doing the left-handed barroway, big wide circles as they have to avoid the starboard tackers upwind, and also figure out how to tack and barroway all at once. Here we got
third
Schutt
Danish
and
boat.
Nielsby, and we see Hansen and Everson. Didn't have tremendous speed in the last race, even though they won it. Like they kept getting kind of caught up by their trailers, but great sailing from them. I mean, they're in a commanding position here to really cement a podium spot. The results aren't quite as tight as in the 49er fleet. There's more separation in this fleet, and without making any mistakes, taking pretty simple routes to the upwind mark. You know, they've just been basically port tack starting and finding a lane through to the right every race, having very solid results here.
The story for this race is that Molly Meach and Alex Maloney, whose worst result so far in this entire week has been a 3, are mid-fleet.
Okay, critical for them to see if they can make up a few boats and save some points in this race. Mid-pack probably wouldn't be a drop for them. We don't know what the conditions will be tomorrow.
I mean, their drop in the first rounds was a 3.
Yeah.
After 6 races.
But that was always Burling and Tuke's greatest skill was the ability to come from the back of the fleet to salvage something decent, and often can be the biggest change of points in a race. So let's keep an eye on that through the race. Good
for sure,
good eye.
for sure. And you can see right there on the right, the black boat there is Helene Nice and Mary Roningen. So just staying ahead with obviously with pressure coming from behind from the Kiwis. But meanwhile, the Danes are battling it out on the left of the screen there. You can see Olsen chasing down Hansen. And the green boat is Martine Grail, who's maybe looking to get inside Olsen as well. So looking to make the pass is Martine Grail. I don't know if we have live camera at the bottom, Mark, but that could be pretty exciting there.
Very good ley line here from Hansen and Everson as they pegged it perfectly and look like they'll just have a little bit of a dip, probably go straight through and head to shore, which has been their preferred route upwind. And minimizing the chances for any mistakes. And we see them just dropping their spinnaker there. And
white is Grail, and black is...
Oh! Wow, that looked a little bit dodgy with the jibe, but they've pulled it off.
So left of your screen there is the lead 3 boats. That's 2 Danes and a Brazilian.
And we see a split there. Martine Grail went out to see it for a small amount last race too. So the 2 Danes coming towards us now as they've rounded the leeward marks, with the gold medalist getting a little bit of separation, and no doubt she'll tack back after all the downwind sailors get through and have a good lane to cover across, and then choose where she tacks for the next ley line.
Now, I lost track of Kate McGregor and Sophie Ainsworth, but I don't think they had a really good run.
They're 5th on the tracking. Oh, they've just fallen off the leaderboard. I wonder if they've had an error. Let's just zoom in and see what's happened. They were 5th on the leaderboard just moments ago before this whole pack passed them. So
either that or they had a capsize. They had a capsize.
Oof.
All right, now McGregor and Ainsworth are upside down.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're not the only ones. So are Bobek and Tengstrom. No, that's Bobek and Tengstrom, the one in the back of picture. I think McGregor and Ainsworth are closer to the leeward gate. Front of screen here is our new race leader, actually. So we, in the lead up to that mark, we lost how Ida Nielsen and Marie Olsen managed to pass their teammates Hansen and Everson. But these two love the breeze. They dominated a lot of the heavier sailing in the beginning part of the quad before other people figured it out, but it's always been one of their favorites, and Marie is super fit on the ropes there at the front of the boat. We can see just from our motorboat wake how fast they're going upwind here, and looking pretty good.
We passed them on the jibe. I'm just reviewing the tracker, and Ida Marie and Marie just waited for the jibe, jibed inside, and then made the pass. Rolled over the top, so sort of classic match racing there. And now they're really smoking upwind, man. Very flat trapping, flatter than maybe anyone else we've seen so far this morning.
Just looks light, and they've had to bear away there. So you can see our motorboat's had to adjust its course, but it looks like they're down. They're certainly down a lot on angle in terms of the angles they've been sailing. You can see it in the tracker. And they also look down on speed, and I don't know if they were going to wait for the puff to get through and just believe the right's so favored, or if they should have maybe done a couple tacks there. But definitely going to be under pressure here. More pressure from their teammates as they've fallen off the height there. And you can see the 2 boats rounded on the same line. So Hansen and Everson have managed to climb up a good few boat lengths.
That's crazy how much they've been able to dig to windward, huh?
And most of that's just happened in the last minute. So, and it's light. You can see they're fully sheeted into the boom. I believe Hansen and Everson are going to be able to undertack them if they wish.
I think they'll be able to cross. Maybe not. I think they might be able to. No, they're going to go for the tack. All right, so the 2 Danes leading.
Locked in battle, and neither one of them is going to want to do another tack with the long tack left to go. Let's see so just not a good enough tack to hold the lane. It's going to be who can roll who here between training partners all the way upwind.
Dane on Dane action here. They fought all the way through for the selection to go to Rio, but they remain great friends. And now who's going to come out on top to windward? We have 11, Nielsen, Olsen to leeward, Hansen, Everson, matching very well right now. Who can keep it cleaner in the waves? Oof, that is a tough place to live.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, will they be going faster doing this, or will they be going slower than the boats on the other side?
It would be fairly difficult to keep a perfect VMG when you're locked that tight in battle, especially for the defender here, which is to leeward, Denmark 71. You know, they'll always be thinking in the back of their mind, oh, do I need to crack off to keep my wind? Do I need to crack off to keep my wind? And that's not a very efficient way to sail upwind.
Yeah.
Eden, Nielsen, and Olsen, it's a bit of a show of discipline to show that you can still sail your perfect VMG. Obviously, 20 boats in the fleet, the one doesn't matter as much at this stage of the race. I mean, you want to get the roll in, and you can see that they do appear quicker upwind right now, whether that's because of the mode or just maybe they were quicker anyways. But they look to be getting more and more comfortable, and Hansen and Everson have had to crack off to protect their wind and will have lost a little bit of VMG. But the 2 of them together are, pretty far ahead of the next boat, so they can't afford to be a little bit one-dimensional in this defense.
They also both pulled out a lead on Grail and Kunze, who had, as you said, had gone out around that left mark and worked their way back up. They've crossed all the way back over to the right side now, and they're coming back in on the ley line. So we'll see how that all works out. Vicky and Annika are also working nicely up in that front row. But everyone's behind this Danish pair. Dobson and Tidy also sitting up there in maybe 3rd or 4th place right now. And hopefully they'll keep it together. That was a really tough one. The Swedes, Bobek and Tankstrom, have spent a little bit of time on their side this race. And Kate McGregor and Sophie Ainsworth has finally got it back together as well. But they're sitting, you know, a third of a leg down now. So both British teams capsizing in these first races this morning. It's a bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah, especially
considering where they train.
Yeah, but
lumpy Weymouth.
It only takes a moment to get it wrong and seize this big, and you know, these errors happen, especially in the traffic. You know, we saw Dobson and Tidy, they capsized, you know, sailing alone. Really, they'll have no one, they won't be happy with that. But McGregor and Ainsworth capsized in a big pack. It could have been a very difficult situation to deal with. We couldn't see the exact situation in the wind, but often that's a little more forgivable.
Final tack for the top mark for the final leg of this race. Ida Marie Nielsen and Marie Olsen looking really solid, and they got a 20 in the first race today.
Did they really? Oh, we saw them have a trouble before the start line, so they started late and
really late,
weren't able to recover. So that's a bit of a shocker. They'll be hoping that's their drop. There is a drop race that'll get applied after this race. So I'm
guessing that's going to be their drop, unless they get a UFD.
That's right. So we'll take a look at them when we get the leaderboard back up and see just how big a difference that makes to their overall score. They might pop in to the contention with a drop that big. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
So there you see, just approaching the top mark and coming around, Nielsen, Olsen. And I'll just look at speeds here as they go around. 12 knots, 13, 15, 16. There you go. They didn't seem to have a great set there from what I'm looking at on the tracker, but very tight behind them. Jenna Hansen just staying ahead of Kunze and Grail and the white kite there, as you can see. And then coming around behind looks like Charlotte and Saskia. And then Vicky Jurchak, I think.
One of the teams we were keeping an eye on was Maloney and Meach, who were down in 10th place in that race. They're up into the front pack here, so very good beat from them. We see their boat speed upwind showing them well. They're now they just rounded the windward mark, but they, you know, that was important for them to catch up. These are the points that mattered, and they've gone from 10th to 6th or 7th, I believe. So that's 3 boats catch, but they're also very close on the next pack, so the opportunities to make some more passes downwind. I'd look for them to take an early jibe here. There's no way to pass in that low lane in this much breeze, but if they can take an early jibe back with clear wind, maybe their boat speed can get them around the pack.
And the dominance we saw yesterday evaporates when you bring it into the Gold Fleet, as well as dropping the wind by a couple knots. They clearly had something special in the really big breeze, but this is definitely not survival conditions. It's tricky, but, you know, not dangerous. And see, back of the pack here is the other Kiwi pair, Dawson and Stewart. And looked like Argentina rounding as well. Looking at your leaders right now, Ida Marie Olsen, Ida
Nielsen and Marie Olsen.
Thank you. Ida and Marie, how's that? Ida Nielsen, Marie Olsen, looking smooth, and the boat looks great.
I think they've got their helmets on today, just a little bit shadowed, so it's tough to say. They often sail with the big red helmets, and I think that's what we see. Yeah, we'll see plenty of the team sailing with helmets today, as head protection is just part of life these days. Why not?
Why not? Exactly.
And
helmets these days are comfortable, and and it's nice to know that you're not going to hurt yourself when you hit the boom, even if it's just a little, you know, even if it's annoying, it's still nice.
Yeah, we did have one head injury yesterday in the fleet. It was from a collision. Typically, the teams don't hit their heads on the booms very often. It's quite a high boom, and you know, you go to it rather than it comes to you for most of the time. But
it also doesn't
nevertheless,
swing through much of an arc.
No, it doesn't swing very hard. But you know, it's a pretty high action sport here. So if they're comfortable wearing a helmet, why not? Just one more jibe here to go. Now we shouldn't jinx them. We've had seen some difficulties here from some of the teams. They've got to, or maybe not. Oh yeah, there they go for the jibe.
If they can hold it together, though, this will be their first win of the World Championship.
Wow, so they've missed the finish line. I was looking at that lay line thinking, what's going on? Maybe I had it wrong, but they've completely missed the finish line. Not sure where they thought they were going, but had to do a big
This is
U-turn.
tight. This is tight. Hansen and Everson are going to get in here, maybe. Whoa, they're having trouble too, though, and just squeaking in. Ida and Marie and taking that win, but that was almost.
What a chaotic finish there. Really no excuse for that one. And we see that the Brazilians here in third. Yeah, very good racing from them. So very consistent
Very smooth,
racing.
very smooth. And I don't know if there was just a big puff there and they couldn't find a spot to jive. Very odd. But even Jenna and Katja looked like they were having trouble too.
They had to fight up to get to the finish line. We do have a smaller finish
Dobson
boat.
tight. Look at the Spanish going through Yurchak Lawrence, and Yurchak Lawrence will hold it. But here come Maloney screaming in. And they'll get back to, I think, 7th.
The more discerning of our viewers will have noticed we were a tiny bit late starting today. There was a fire on board one of the other course race official boats today. So the pin boat from this course, small fire, electrical fire, had to get taken to be the race committee boat. So we have a smaller pin boat today, and maybe that's what confused. But it's the third race of the day, so who knows?
There's definitely more breeze down here at the bottom of the course. This is the biggest breeze we've seen today so far.
Yeah, and the forecast is for it to keep building. So the 49er action later on should be insane.
That's Boyka Lutz just getting passed at the finish by Sepesi Dubois.
The two of them have had a solid day, but nothing outstanding. It doesn't look like it's in the cards for them to repeat as champions. Took the championship last month in Kiel for the Europeans. One boat coming in here without a spinnaker up.
Another boat coming in with a really no tension on the boom, and the head of the front of the sail kind of bending forward. I think maybe someone dropped a main sheet. That's Argentina. Third, it looks like the Yerga sisters there, and here comes Dawson Stewart coming in hard.
And that's Outer Ridge.
And Outer Ridge and Curtis. That gets us through most of the fleet. I think there's still some stragglers there.
Well, for sure, we've got the Brits who capsized still to come, but that's most of the fleet. Really tight racing, but the championship itself is starting to become more clear in terms of who's really in contention here. It's not 20 boats anymore, far from it, more like 5, and 2 of those are Danes. We've got the Brazilians having a fantastic day. Maloney and Meach, I'm going to guess, are still in the lead. We'll do our best to get you the results just as soon as we can. Keep clicking on 49er.org.
We do have race 8 up results. Obviously, we don't have this race up yet, but we can probably pull in a scoreboard from race 8, maybe.
Yeah.
There we go. So have a look here. Molly and Meach, they got a 4th in that race 8, so that's their worst result of the regatta so far until this race that we just saw. That gives them 9 points. It's getting closer. Grail and Kunze with this solid, consistent performance on 11 in second, and Jenna and Katja with 17 in third. And then you can see what happened to Dobson and Tidy with that 14 before the throwout comes in. At least they're on 28.5, 7 full or 6.5 points behind Yurchak and Lawrence. So there you go. Do we have a disparity between this one and the one I'm looking at? Anyway, I agree. But Dobson Tidy there had a 3:14, and just not a lovely show. Annemiek Becker and Jessica Kisters just behind them. And
I'm just looking at the results again because one of the teams that we knew had a poor first race was Ida Nielsen and Marie Olsen, 19th, and there we go. This is the 49er.org results. A lot easier to look at. Thank you very much, Chris, for pulling that up. So just looking down at 14th place there, Nielsen and Olsen, who we just saw win that race by a whisker. They had the 19th in the first race. We thought it might be their drop. Maybe it'd make all the difference, but they got that 15th there. That's going to be a killer. At this point, with a good race, they're just trying to make the top 10 right now. Out of contention, I'd say, for the overall title. Look at the total points. It's going to be a low score here that's going to win overall if these teams keep sailing the way they are.
Yeah, no question. I think
probably only 4 or 5 teams left in the conversation. We didn't feature Jersock and Lorenz very much in that race that just finished, so could be their drop, but also they need to have some good races
they
to
had
keep up.
They had a decent race there. I think they were 6th in that race.
And then Dobson and Tidy had a good race there and have a big drop at a 14. So, there's still a few teams in the conversation. There's still 3 out of the 6 semifinal races to go, but the conversation's starting to tighten up.
Now, when we get to the finals, which is typically 3 or 4 races?
The final itself will be a 3 race in the theater, 10 minutes a race.
And is there any double points or any of that kind of stuff? No, none of it.
No, there's no double points, just straight scoring. And if the race is close enough, it'll make all the difference. If someone's emerged as a clear leader, then they'll sail just like a regular medal race and take the victory.
All right, that sounds good. I think we're going to have a little short break here and have a word from our sponsors while we wait for the race committee to set up the final race of the day for this semifinal round for the FX Gold Fleet. Let's hear what they have to say. All right, great word from all the great supporters of the 49er class and the World Championship here in Porto. And what's it called again? Mataginos.
World's best fish.
We had the world's best fish last night.
It was delicious.
We had we had beef cheek as well. We had port wine that was unreal. This place is special, and it was actually my first chance to walk around downtown Porto. It's a gorgeous city, and I've spent a lot of time in dozens and dozens of cities in Europe. It is one of the prettiest ones I've ever seen.
And for sailing fans out there, actually the yacht club we're from, Yacht Club d'Atlantico, is happy to host sailors through the winter time to do some training. It's about 10-degree air temperature, but much warmer water temperature here. That's at the coldest. So if you want to get some of these big conditions and do some winter sailing, come on down.
Kiteboarding too is pretty big here. There's lots of really fun stuff to do.
We'll see access from the beach tomorrow. It's a really nice beach. So
the other thing that's going on this weekend, if you're anywhere nearby, come hang out with me on Sunday and let's go watch the Red Bull Air Races. So there are 500,000 people roughly forecast to be in town starting tomorrow, and most of them going to be on the beach watching us sailing as well. So it should be pretty exciting with the Red Bull Air Races. It's a pretty big deal for this part of the world, and we're happy to have them, you know, dipping their wings to our sailors as they practice today. We should hear them start their engines start to whir up pretty shortly as well. So good stuff in Porto, and really pleased to be here. One quick thing, do you remember what how they win a watch? Because I don't remember what the contest was. Or should we just invent another one?
Our rep from Spinnaker Watches is here today. I think he was going to post a photo on their Instagram page. So Spinnaker Watches Instagram page. You can go to a photo of our Adidas Daily Show, actually. And he's taking a picture of you filming the Daily Show, and then you can just follow Spinnaker Watches and like or comment on that post, and then you get eligible to win a watch, or no, to win $200 towards a watch.
Toward a watch, and the watches aren't very much more than that. So, or at least some of them aren't. I don't know. They have a range.
Yeah, but that gets you most of the way towards one of these beauties. And so go ahead, like Spinnaker Watches on Instagram. They've got
details are on their post on Instagram.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Check it out, and yeah, we're real happy to see them joining us. And if you or your company wants to support the 49er or FX class or the NACRA 17 class, which they're joining together for a whole bunch of events.
We're I don't know, sister classes now. We're all run by the same group of like-minded sailors, and we're going to have most of our regattas together in the future. Next year's regatta is going to be tremendous. I think we're even going to be joined by the kites, so it'll be everything fast all together.
Foil boards.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so stay tuned for an announcement about that. That'll be the European Championship as well as a festival, and we're really excited about that one. The announcement should be imminently. Also, sailing fans out there, the NACRA 17 Worlds is upcoming next week, so some of the team here head straight over there to bring you coverage of the NACRA 17 Worlds. So lots going on in the world of sailing, but nothing more important than these final races here. We've got one more race of the 49er FX today, and then 4 races of the 49er. We expect this trough to come through in about 2 hours, which could blow everything out of the water, or maybe it misses us. We're not really sure. There's plenty of wind right now, and we're only 2 minutes away from the final race of the day of the semi-final of the 49er FX.
We got some fun stuff for you right after this race, as well as the 49er men's get set up. We've got some interviews I did last night with a bunch of the sailors, including some really standout guys, as well as
Gilmore, and Gilmore had a good interview.
Yeah, we talked to Gilmore, we talked to Spranger Mengendorfer, the 20-year-olds who just squeaked in, who are I think are amazing, and I think are going to rule the world in a couple years. But yeah, good fun chats with everybody. So stick around for that. Also, you can head over to 49er Sailing on Facebook, go into the videos, and you'll see the dock walk we did this morning. Me and Marcus, 20-plus minutes of chats. We chased a lizard down with Steph and Maggie from the U.S. team. There was a lizard hiding in their toolbox. That was kind of fun, a little wild America action on the dock, but also some good chats with was it David Evans, or I think?
Dave Evans, the coach, former 49er sailor for a long time, now coaching Jersak and Lorenz, who we've seen in the top 5 here right now. Really important race for those two to finish on a high. They've never been dominant in the breeze. They look to hang in the breeze, and so far they're doing more than that in 5th place, but they're not through the day yet. We actually do have race results from race 9 already up on 49er.org, and I can tell you we've got a new overall leader based on that last race. Martine Grail and Kanya Kunz have taken the lead by 2 points over Maloney and Meach. So head on over to 49er.org to see the whole results list as we approach this race, and it's also really tight with Hansen and Everson only 3 points farther back.
We'll get you a leaderboard too at some point on one of these beats when we have a little bit of time.
Let's just check out what the strategy is going to see on this race. I think we're going to see Hansen and Everson somehow get through on port and head right, but my guess is there'll be a lot of competition going right.
Look at this. Kunz and Grail trying to get into the boat end. They're going to get in, but be quite late. Dobson, Tidy nailing the boat end start, and very late is Aruba. So it looks like to me Dobson, Tidy won the right side, and I'm not sure who's punched out so hard on the left.
And now we'll see some of the Port Tech option folks trying to duck this last transom of Aruba and then get a clear lane to the right. One of the German teams coming across here. Can't tell which one it is yet. Let's get that tracker going. Looks to me like a small digit. I'm going to say that's...
Can you put the tracker here, please?
I'm going to bring the tracker into the live post, you bet.
So that right there is Yurchak Lawrence here coming right. And
Yurchak Lawrence, that's a great spot for them to be in. We talked about them needing to have another solid race here to remain in contention for the title, and there's really no better way to have a conservative first beat than to be the Port Tech option boat. You almost guarantee yourself clear wind if you pull it off, which they have, and they're heading what we think is the favored direction. A little less favored maybe at the bottom than the top. There's that point that maybe interferes with things just a little bit, but nevertheless a good spot to be. Clear air for them if they can have the boat speed to keep up and the fitness to keep up and steady in this race. That should be another solid one.
They've really got the bow down too. I mean, they are rumbling. They want that right. They want to get as far right as they can, as quick as they can, and play the beach, it looks like, and they're really moving well, but the bow's way down.
It's a tricky thing to be the bottom boat of a lineup in breeze because the waves keep throwing you off kilter and you don't have any frame of reference. So actually maybe our camera boat here will be helping them out so they can stay online. In all seriousness though, otherwise you can get a little lost in the waves sometimes and lose a few boat lengths to windward. They look like they're tracking okay now though, as you'll just let us know if it updates, Alan. They've got the Danes on their hip. That is what we expected. Hansen and Everson, Denmark 71, just behind the sail of Jersak and Lorenz. They've been hitting the right side hard all day. But Jersak and Lorenz are number one in the tracker right now. And, just a bobble there from the Danes. They got knocked over by a wave, lost a whole boat length.
I'll tell you what else, too, is our regatta leader right now. Grail and Kunz are sort of a little bit buried right in the middle of the pack and a little bit buried. We saw that they were late, and now they're getting bounced around a little bit in that green right in the middle.
Maloney and Meach, second overall, doing pretty well in the middle of the course. Got a good lane coming right, so with their boat speed and what we've seen the last few days, they'll be a threat this race for sure.
Dawson Stewart having an issue, stuck down near the starting line and looking like they might maybe just recovering from a capsize, going about 3 knots. So an issue for the younger Kiwi team. The other Kiwi team currently in second place after 9 races and sitting in 4th place on the tracker at the moment.
Also, Dobson and Tidy in the middle of the race course, heading right in a front row position. They're in 5th on the tracker, so they've got a great lane and good boat speed as well. So they'll be able to sail probably a pretty good first beat here and be in contention for this race.
Yurchak and Lawrence are shipping it out to the right. Port Tech option, go to the lay line, bang the corner, and head into the top mark. That's what they're doing. It's like foil cat sailing, and right now they're leading. So really great work analyzing the situation and nailing the start. You know,
we saw this in the last race though. There comes a point, I think they get behind the point of wind here, and we just saw them come out of the wind a little bit and head bow down. They've tacked a lot sooner than we saw Nielsen and Olsen tack. They weren't willing to put up with it, but I think they've lost the lead just on that last few boat lengths, getting under tacked by Hansen and Everson, who should be able to hold that lane. Not a great tack from Hansen and Everson, but they pull it off now.
And you can actually see a little bit of whitecaps building it, so there's definitely kind of a lighter spot over here.
According to the tracker, it could be tricky for Jersak and Lorenz to hold that lane. It doesn't look as bad on video as it does on the tracker, but just zooming in on the far right side there, got Hansen and Everson leading Jersak and Lorenz back 1st and 2nd. They're going to have a cross coming up shortly with Dobson and Tidy, who have climbed their way up in the middle of the fleet. You mentioned Brazil's recovered nicely from earlier coverage, so.
I mean, but you're dead right, Ben. It's just that Vicky and Annika just pushed it into the right a little bit too far past that headland.
Yeah, just went that little bit too far. If you're the first ones over, you're the first ones to find out, and it cost them a few boat lengths. We'll have pushed them back in the rankings just enough to put them under threat. But it's a very tight race. Actually, we see on the tracker Dobson and Tidy seizing the lead here. So perhaps the far right's not what we might think it is, or maybe they're just the fastest. They certainly have great point, and they should be able to set themselves up for a perfect ley line and lead into this mark from this spot.
And still a couple boats shipping it way out to the left. I mean, I don't think I don't think Dobson Tidy went too far left there. They kind of worked their way up the middle a little bit to the left of Brazil. But again, Kunz and Grail didn't have a good tackum, and now they're getting past, and now they're back into 6th place.
Yeah, they've under-tacked the pack on the right, and it works fine as long as your boat handling's perfect. But if you make a mistake and then you're under pressure the rest of the way, it's a tricky spot to be in.
Your leader just tacked. That's the 44 boat, GBR 44
Super
in
slow
orange.
tack. Either that or there's a problem with the tracker.
So Denmark 11, which is Nielsen Olsen, working it too.
Just get some.
It's not a tracker issue. It's just they were
just a really slow tack.
Yeah, I mean,
so boat handling issues playing a big role here with Dobson and Tidy, today with their capsize in the second race while leading, and then but they're still in first place here, so able to recover somewhat, and they'll just be under a little more pressure. So pretty good beat still, regardless. And we see from the far left coming in the French 971 of Sebastien and Dubois. So both sides of the course working here. I do think there's some danger in that far right side that we're not giving enough credit to, and the teams are maybe hitting it a little too hard on the beat.
It's tempting on the last race of the day to not tack so much, isn't it?
Sure is.
I mean, like that's something that maybe other sports don't suffer quite as much. Is what do we got here?
The fatigue factor. Yeah, you try and perform at your best the whole time. This is the lead of Dobson and Tidy.
Yeah.
Pretty tidy lead here. Forgive the pun.
Tidy lead, I like that.
Forgive the pun, but they'll be under some pressure here. Certainly, if they're in a great spot to just do a straight bearway.
It's a beautiful A line. Yeah, I mean they're a little bit overstood, but that's what you want to do in this situation.
They'll come in with speed and be able to rocket away. Good hoist and look to keep themselves clear. We'll see if anyone comes into the near mark or if they all fall around. I think we're going to have the Brazilians come in for a left-handed bearway if they can just punch through with the French.
They've got to cross behind here. Yep. Then they got to deal with Molly and Alex as well.
Going for the high bearway. You can see them just taking the surge of that wave to get round. They have to stay on the wires. They avoid the starboard tackers, but they'll have a clean hoist there.
Swede's doing well right now.
Could be a good route downwind.
Really well for the Swedish team.
They've been really streaky in their performance. Must have good boat speed and maybe a little sloppy in the handling at times, but they're the first newest team into the semifinal here, and good for them. They'll be one to watch for sure. Good
Looks like
sets.
Schutt and Nielsby
Oh, just as we say that, we see two capsizes. So just can our cameraman pass left and see who's the other one upside down?
I'm looking right now. That was...
That's the Brazilians.
Oh, no.
So the Brazilians capsize in their hoist, and then the Swedes. Too. No, it isn't the Swedes. It's the.
That's Denmark.
That's Denmark or Netherlands. 669.
Oh yes, that's Dewey Couvert and
Jongens. So disaster for the Brazilians. They just took the lead in the previous race. I mean, it will be a drop, but really difficult. You can see some of the trouble in setting with the left-handed bearway, heading into the starboard tackers, and also having the teams thread the needle between this recent graveyard, but not a fast place to capsize. And I don't know if they got their spinnaker halfway up too.
What is it about people leading capsizing so far? I mean, we saw it in the last race. Now we see the overall regatta leader capsizing. We'll take you back to the action here.
So I was hoping to see if we were able to follow what Fletcher and Bithell were so successful doing, which was coming to the beach on the downwinds in the racing yesterday. But with the capsize, we're not able to spot that. Just scrolling down on the tracker, we can see heading into the leeward mark that Dobson and Tidy have put themselves in a tough spot actually with their ley line. I'm going to guess that's a tough spot to fight from. And they're going to struggle to make that ley line. So being the leaders, you have to judge your own ley lines, and that, I mean, it's not awful, but well, now we've got it live in picture.
Let's stay with them all the way in too. We're gonna. I mean, I'm guessing they're gonna have to drop that kite at some point here.
Yeah, they're definitely below the ley line. They're relatively close to the leeward marks here, so they can time their drop and then two sail in. But I think we're going to see a pass here for the lead, and that's Hansen and Everson sailing the more consistent way downwind and going to take the lead. And they're also their countrywomen, Nielsen and Olsen. Look how windy that is. They had to flog their kite there for survival, not to get up. Their ley lines, actually their ley line's now close or tight too.
Oh man, I'll tell you what else. Hansen, Everson just passed Olsen
and Nielsen.
Olsen-Nielsen exactly the same way that the others did it in the last race.
Right.
A carbon copy on the jibe, attack, and pass.
And we could be seeing here Hansen and Everson setting themselves up for their first ever World Championship victory because they've sailed a tremendous day. We see the Brazilians upside down at the moment. Kiwis are having a good race, but in 6th place right now. And these girls have had a very consistent day. They've port tack option the whole time. They got their spinnaker only about halfway down. They'll sneak in and get that a little farther down once things are clear. But things are getting sloppy now on this course.
Look at the waves. Look at the waves here at the bottom, Mark.
Huge.
My word. This is what we told you. We told you the swell map had showed us that we'd have 2.5 meter waves by the afternoon.
But look at this. Dobson tidy going around Nielsen and Olsen
unable to get any tension on the main sheet and just got passed.
Yeah, they must have dropped the main sheet and just stopped. I mean, they kept control, so they only lost one boat, but things are getting sloppy. The 49er racing after this is going to be insane. And that's our probably new virtual leaders, the Maloney and Meach coming through in 6th place, sailing doing a good job at that leeward rounding. Having to go outside Echegoyen and Betanzos, though, so costing a few boat lengths, but in the grand picture, probably something they can live with. Wind shadows won't be quite as bad in this big breeze.
Exciting stuff. It's getting better and better, man. I tell you what, obviously the racing's getting better and better. The fleets are getting better and better. And the cameras are getting slightly better. Our commentary is getting better. You guys watching it are making it better and sending us suggestions. So thank you for all of that. But
and if you're enjoying it, do share it on your Facebook pages. Let's get those numbers up so we can reward our sponsors for bringing us this great coverage. Look at that, breaking waves almost. These girls are having to deal with upwind. You can see just in the very background of picture, actually, that tower is what we're going to be sailing underneath. That white tower on the beach. That's the cruise ship terminal that we'll have the finals underneath of tomorrow. But look at the mainsails backing upwind at the top of these swells as the pressure increases the higher they get.
Well, your local knowledge guy was probably right. This is going to be hairball, but at the moment still controllable.
Yeah, speaking
at least on the upwind. I haven't seen anybody knock down upwind yet. But downwind,
yeah, just speaking with Robert Scheit's coach this morning, who's a local and a longtime laser friend of Robert Scheit's, now switching into helping him coach, and he said we were in for a tough one today, especially as it got later in the afternoon. So we can see the teams handling it right now, but right on the edge, and that's great. That's a great test. I mean, I'm just looking at the tracker now. Brazilians are up and sailing. We can see them heading into the leeward mark, but back in 15th place. We see the Australians capsized at the leeward mark.
Aruban's capsized halfway down the course. Norway has just recovered from a capsize, is starting to go again. So yeah, half the fleet has been washing their masts at some point in this afternoon, or this morning, no, afternoon.
But back at the front of the fleet, the girls who have sailed super cleanly all day. Hansen and Everson just doing the simple things right, sailing basically a square right now, and doing it well.
And yeah, Danish stars today. I mean, really nice work from both top Danish team. But I'll tell you what, Dobson Tidy, had they not had that capsize, might be getting close to the lead by now. So, in the regatta.
Oh sure, yeah, that's one they'll be thinking about.
You know.
And but sailing well the rest of the day.
Charlotte's never been a world champion, has she?
No. They came second at the Europeans a month ago, so that's their best major championship performance.
We're looking at them right now, looking very controlled.
Just feels that little bit lighter right when they tax. They probably just got a tiny bit close to shore and then bounce back into the wind. Leader in the picture at the right side of the frame, that's Hansen and Everson, who managed to make the pass by getting their ley line right downwind. Despite the issues with that last beat and that sort of lighter air on the right, they've all kind of shipped it right back in there. Yeah, I'm going to guess the waves are some shelter from the waves, especially when everyone else is following you there. Why split? and then fewer maneuvers. So lots of reasons to go right here today.
And making the big split, though, is Maloney and Meach. So Maloney and Meach is actually all the way out on the mid-left and looking for maybe some separation to get there. You can see him right there. Or maybe they just felt like that right side wasn't strong. But
we did see them having to go outside the Spanish, so maybe they finally figured out they needed a better lane, and they're obviously confident. They're not worried about hiding from the waves. They've got tremendous boat handling skills.
Now that
they showed us yesterday.
Is up, maybe we'll see some of that incredible downwind speed, just sort of class-leading downwind speed that we saw yesterday as well. They got a shot.
Already in 4th place in this race, so a good race for them. But probably, I don't think we're done with the fireworks yet. I think we're going to see some more errors play into this race. I just get the sense that with the wind building and with the seas, bigger than yesterday, there's going to be some more to see today.
And remember, folks, tomorrow is the final day of our live action from the World Championship. A new world champion will be crowned. Well, certainly a new world champion in the men's fleet, maybe a new world champion in the women's fleet.
That's right. Just on the far right of picture, we see Jersock and Lorenz, Germany 55, 4th overall right now. Having another keeper. They've got to make a couple passes and just keep the points a tiny bit tighter if they want to stay in contention for the win. We see Maloney and Meach, they're attacking on the far left, so they might be able to split on the downwind as well if they so choose. But very comfortable sailing from Hansen and Everson as they get a perfect ley line into this windward mark and should be able to do a very simple downwind.
Our current oh, that's the Jurga sisters. Where is? There they are. Okay.
12th place for Lutz and Boyka,
Yeah.
we can see in the tracker, which puts them back with the group of struggled somewhat.
Yeah, Lutz and Boyka certainly, and Lutz and Boyka were impressive in the big air and the light air up in Kiel, winning on the last day in huge air, and they just haven't really had a good one. They just don't seem that together here at Worlds.
Just zooming in on this top mark, let's see where Maloney and Meach come in. They certainly haven't lost anything heading out, and we back in with our leaders as Hansen, the helm, moves to the back of the boat, gets her foot in one of the foot loops there to just help on the bearway. They don't have a ton of speed here, but they can have a little bit of room to time their bearway. Didn't make it the first time. There's going to be some fireworks here as the bearways are tough, and they go for it the second time and make it. Here's Dobson and Tidy going to be doing the same exercise. Let's see if they can get their bearway in. Already past the mark. Bad wave there, so they're continuing on. Let's have the cameraman keep following upwind. And that's next is Everson and Nielsen, or Eden Nielsen and Marie Olsen. They got it, and we see the Kiwis coming in from the far side doing a left-handed bearway. We can see Dobson and Tidy did make their bearway, but they've lost two positions, and that's Betanzos and Echegoyen just still both crew members helping get the bearway done. Tough hoist there. We can see even though Nielsen and Olsen got their bearway in with the black spinnaker, they haven't got it set yet, whereas Dobson and Tidy have. Yeah, the wraps come out pretty easy in a 49er, but they lost a lot of boat lengths there, and I think Dobson and Tidy might be able to catch up. They've already rolled them actually on that hoist.
Meach Malone have capsized.
Oh, on the near side.
Can he pan left here at all?
Yeah, so we got Maloney and Meach have capsized in the near ground. They were trying that left-handed bearway and didn't pull it off.
Let's see if we can get our cameraman to look left here.
Let's get our cameraman to drive downwind, actually, because we've seen all the front group go down, but it'll take a little while to communicate with him. Anyways, we thought there'd be fireworks, and there are. Just looking down to the tracking on the run.
I'm astonished. I mean, honestly, like yesterday, in similar conditions to right now, Molly Meach and Alex Maloney looked like they were untouchable, and now they're capsizing just when they could least afford it.
We've got a really tight battle here for second place between 3 teams on the tracker. If we can just pan down the tracker.
Pan tracker down. Thank you. Okay, so there you go. And what's going on right now is is the British boat Dobson Tidy, just trying to stay ahead of Tamara Echegoyen as...
But they can't do it. They can't jibe right now because Denmark 11 is holding them out. And as we saw last time, it doesn't take much to be overstood. So I think Denmark 11 here is just going to go for their jibe. Simultaneous jibes from the Brits, but they're going to be overstood just based on where they were. That should be a pass.
Dobson Tidy are definitely not going to be able to lay with their kite up. I'm not even sure that that Spain and Denmark will be. I mean, you see the ley lines we have drawn here, but the boats are sailing quite a bit deeper than that.
That's right. So Denmark 11 hasn't had a great jibe yet. We can see the Spanish catching them up. They're probably only one wave behind, but they do get it going. And both of them are likely to pass Dobson and Tidy here. Nothing they can really do about it because they got held out. But that's the real racing of skiffs.
But look at this battle, though, between Echegoyen and Ida and Marie. What a nice battle. They are right on top of each other. That's the green and the yellow boat there. Bottom left of your screen. And 17, 18 knots, 19 knots. Absolutely flying. And several boats haven't been able to recover from capsizes. Dawson...
We've seen Dobson and Tidy back at the tracker. They've already had to take down their spinnaker. Now they're two sailing in. They're going to get caught by more teams. I think with the boat speed, they're not going downwind anymore. So they've rounded up so far that they're going to have to pull off another bareway, just kind of limping along at a beam reach, which doesn't really work.
And here comes Aruba on starboard. Oh, man. I do not want to be Charlotte Dobson right now trying to decide how to deal with this
Now
problem.
Denmark 11 going for the drop
Spain.
and heading back up to make the outline and make the ley line, and the Spanish are going to have to punch it up.
And they'll just sneak in. So great heads-up sailing from Tamara Echegoyen and Berta Betanzos.
A lot of pressure here on the Brits.
I think there's a little match race there.
No, it's not a match race because they can't do it. That's got to be a feature of the trackers.
Well, I mean, they came. I think they came.
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, I mean, Berta is a match race.
That was a full match
race.
That was a full match race. I'm so sorry, folks. We didn't have a camera on it. They couldn't get down the track in time with those waves. Obviously, you're not going to go 25 knots over those waves, not unless you want to die. But finally, Dobson and Tidy get through the finish line. So second to fifth. I mean, at least they salvaged the fifth, right? I mean, that was huge.
Yeah. And then Jersak and Lorenz up into sixth. Let's pan back up and see if New Zealand's moving again yet. We already see that's gonna be a game changer as well. They were moved to second place. They're now back with the Brazilians who also capsized. So the big winner in this race is Hansen and Everson. Sure. Denmark 71 sailed 4 good races today, and almost none of their competitors did.
I'll tell you what else. Vilma Bobeck and her Swedish crew they just did 23 knots on the tracker, which I've never seen before in a FX, but I'm sure you have, but I certainly haven't seen this week. So the young Swedes doing a nice job holding it together in 7th place right now as boats drift down the course. Exciting stuff. And Molly Meach and Alex Maloney finally going well now, 18 knots downwind. I don't know if we have any live shots left, but and they're right behind Kunz and Grail.
Yeah.
So the battle right now in 11th and 13th place amongst the leading boats going into this race. That's fascinating stuff. It's never over, ladies and gents. And Brazil just sailing right next to the capsized Argentine boat there.
Yeah, we got Norway 26 also capsized. So the group finishing now, Martine Grail's in 10th place with a capsize. So you can tell half the fleet's been knocked over this race. It's right on the edge, if not over it for most. And for the 49ers, it really won't be that different. The wind's going to continue to build here. It's going to be a tough day for everyone. And we're going to be the beneficiaries of getting to watch sailing at its most extreme.
We don't know how much we're going to be able to watch given the conditions and how long our cameras last out there, but we'll do the best we can. We do have onboard cameras aboard which boat? I don't exactly remember, but we've got onboards on at least one of the men's boats. So we will see how it looks from there. But again, as you told me several times, Ben, the 49ers, typically the men are a little better at handling these conditions on the whole just because of the virtue of the experience level. You know, the 49ers launched in 1997?
Yeah. So you know, 5 quads in.
And it took 10 years to learn how to sail the boats in breeze for most people. But now they know. And in fact, the FX girls look to the 49er guys, the really experienced ones, to learn how to handle them in breeze. But I would say the FXs are at a far more advanced stage now than the 49ers were at this point in their lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, sailing, this is a big day. This is a big day of conditions. The 49er fleet would have never lasted like this in the pre-Sydney quad. No chance. It really wasn't until it was just a continual improvement. And these big wave conditions, we really didn't even try that much. There were huge waves in Perth, but we mostly had to swim through them. That was back in the early days. And now, you know, although there are some swims, almost everyone's finishing. So big difference, and that's I think the last boat up and moving. McGregor and Ainsworth through in 14th. A few other boats will no doubt be trying to limp through, but why don't we come back here to studio and we'll get those results to you just as soon as everyone finishes. You can check them out on 49er.org.
And at least provisionally, I'm just looking at the numbers here on screen, and right, Hansen Everson took it with Ida Marie and Olsen just behind by about 20 seconds. Etchegoyens was just 5 seconds behind them, and there's definitely a little bit of a match race there. I'm going to talk to them when they get to shore and find out. Dobson Tidy were 15 seconds further back, and Beckering and Kisters a few seconds behind them. But it was, how long was it? 23. It was 3 minutes from Hansen back to Maloney and Meach. 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what the capsize cost, right?
So we've got a gap here as the 49er fleet heads out and gets ready to race. Why don't you prep the video of us talking with Tommy?
Oh, yeah,
couple days ago.
That's a great chat. Let's prep this one. Olympic bronze medalist Tommy Plessel, really interesting dude, and not only just an incredible sailor and a very bright guy, but his master's or his bachelor thesis at university for engineering. He wanted to do something about sailing, as every engineering student who sails, and what he did is he looked around at the tension gauges on the market that you use to measure the tension in the shrouds of your boat, which is obviously the most crucial measurement you can make before you go out on the water. And he found that all the gauges that he tested, including the Harkin digital one and the loose gauge and everything else, were wildly inaccurate. Up to 50% inaccurate. The Harkin one, which was hundreds of dollars, was only 25% inaccurate.
And he tested them on all different types of wire types, different temperatures. It was a really good interview, and let's find out more about it.
Let's hear from Tommy. As you can see from the harbor here in Porto, it doesn't look like we're going to see sailing for the second day here at Worlds. And I've got a guy here who's the only medalist, along with your partner, the only medalist from Rio in the 49er class here at Worlds. Thomas Plessel, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, hi, I'm doing good. Yeah, we just entered this season quite soft and quite late. We took some time off in winter and had our eyes on some other things.
You don't feel like you've lost much time already, or is it early enough in the cycle that it's okay?
Well, when we look at the calendar, it's actually only some 2 years left to again time to get ready for the Olympics. So it feels like time's running.
Yeah.
But no, we just enjoyed some time, and it was good to take some time off as well after the Olympics, because for myself, actually had thoughts about quitting, you know, because I was just fed up traveling and sailing, but now I'm back and it feels pretty awesome.
It's a hard life, though. I mean, for sure. And you know, you've just completed your university degree, and you know, your friends are probably going off to go work and have families, and you're stuck here sailing all the time.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Like as you said, my friends finished their degrees. They started to get their families things done and
money.
I mean, we have a great life here for sure, but yeah, I had with my family, with my parents, I had the deal that if I wanted to go on sailing, I have to quit. Sorry, we have to do this again.
Go ahead, I'll pull it up.
With my parents, I had the deal that if I want to sail on, I have to finish a degree in whatever thing. So I
Seems
started.
Reasonable.
Sorry.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my mechanical engineering bachelor going since, I don't know, 10 years now, and for 10 years now, and and I'm going to finish that. So by now it's only one course left that I'm going to do next winter. But in last winter I was looking at my thesis, which I still had to do, and I was thinking about what could I do about sailing. And one major thing we had issues with in the last 4 years was the tension measurement of the shrouds on the mast.
And this is something that anyone who sails knows very well. Tension gauges that we all use. It doesn't matter if you use an LS2 for your sport boat or a little one for your dinghy or whatever. They're not that accurate, are they?
No, they unfortunately they are not. So for example, the loose and cold tension gauge is really good because it's handy and it's light, small, and really easy to use. But it got some, I don't know. I measured. Yeah, what I did was taking different types of shrouds, like really stiff ones and really soft ones.
Yeah.
And even with the same tension gauge, I had up to 50, 60 degrees of variance, of variability.
Wow.
Within, like, if you put like 100 kilos to the shroud and then you look how much the tension gauge shows. So that was pretty huge. And even with the Haken one that I think everybody knows, the really expensive
The digital one.
The digital one from Haken had, I think it was 20 something percent of variance.
Wow.
And
I mean, that's huge. That changes your whole race, right?
yeah, it's huge. So yeah, so I thought, okay, what can I do? And I looked at many principles, how to measure, even with with like a guitar string,
yeah.
To measure the sound and stuff. It was all funny ideas. No, but in the end I came back to the same principle, but I made a kind of a nice, small, little, tiny invention to change the way that the shroud is goes through.
Deflected, yeah.
Yeah, it's deflected, and it came down to, long story short, to like 2% of variation.
Wow.
Over the whole system, like over the whole differences
range
of shrouds,
yeah.
range of shrouds, and in the end it didn't matter if you use like a Dyneema or a wire that bends really easily or a really stiff wire, and even I tried what is it, like a stick? No, how do you call it?
Yeah, like a dowel, like a rod.
Yeah, a rod. I tried a rod, and it was all within 2% plus minus.
Wow.
So that's pretty good. So if you have like 200 kilograms on your shroud, it was 204 to 196 kilograms.
Compared to 50 kilograms variation in the other systems.
Or 20 kilograms with the Haken, which was the best I tested. And I even tried some devices that I used in the industry. So, but they are all like this big. So I was looking for something that's like this big, so you can have in your pocket maybe, or at least in your backpack.
And you solved the problem. Now, did you patent that little trick?
It's actually pretty simple, but it's really hard to explain for me, especially in English now. But in the end, I deflected the wire in a way that its bending stiffness will not go into the sensor as a fault.
So let's ask the important question, and the question your parents probably want to know. Have you been able to sell this thing commercially? Did Harkin call you up and say, we want to buy that? Are you going to sell it to all your friends here in the boat park, or what?
Well, right now I'm on the first prototype. So it's a device that has got a battery inside and has got a display and shows you all that you want, and you can have it with you. And I'm testing that right now. It still has some issues with getting weird. So like the shroud is the same you have on the loose and cold. So I think it would last some 1,000 or 2,000 measurements, but I want to get better. So next month I'm back at the institute and I'm working on it more. I'm now employed.
Employee, yeah.
I'm employed at the institute and I get some money for that. Even so, I'm going to work on it more, and the second prototype hopefully is better. So, but it's taking a lot of time to do this, and I like more than I expected. And right now the thesis is done. I got my.
You got your grade?
I got your grade.
How'd you do?
Want to know? It's not really good because I was working like a sailor does, like chaos.
Trial and error and chaos. Yeah.
I got a 2.7, which is really bad. The guy at the institute where I was working, it's not at the uni, it was somewhere else, another institute. He said I should get a 1.7, but the guy at the uni didn't like me for some reason. Maybe he doesn't. I hope he doesn't see this, but he won't watch this. No, but I got a 2.7. Whatever, I got it done, and I'm so happy.
But meanwhile, you have a product that you could sell, if it was in production tomorrow, you could sell 5,000 of them. You know that.
I don't know. When I look at the boat park, there's like, I think only 100 or a couple of sailors.
Yeah, but that's just here. What about the J70s and the 470s and the lasers and the da-da-da? No, not lasers, they don't have shrouds, but everybody else.
Yeah, well, the one I built now is only for shroud diameters up to 5 mils, which is enough for 49ers and Nacras and maybe some J70s. I don't know how much they have, but you could scale it, I think, easily. Yeah, I'm pretty keen to work it on, at least because I am really keen for myself to have a good product. Because for the next 4 years we need some good tension gauge, and yeah.
It's a great story, man. Let's go. Let's talk about 49ers for a second, because that was fascinating. But as the only medalist that's still in this fleet, obviously with Nathan gone and Pete gone and those guys, do you feel like one of the favorites here for Worlds? Do you feel like you know, it's going to be relatively easy for you to get back to the Olympics, or is it a whole new ballgame?
I think it's this. One of the main learnings for me in the past 4 years is that in every race, in every regatta, every race, every second that you do, every tech, every sheet easing and trimming that you do, it all is a little tiny piece of like the whole thing that you have to achieve. So it's the same again from zero now, and we have to build the whole thing again to get to the Olympics and to get a good result there. So there's the other guys didn't sleep in winter, like unlike we. So we took some time off, and I think we have to work hard here. Our friends Diego and Iago from Spain are really good. Josh Porepski, he was vice world champion once, which we never achieved. He's really good. So the guys are good, and I'm really happy to be here again and to compete against those guys. And I was happy when Peter told us that he's going to come back after the Volvo Ocean race. Pretty sure what happens then, because I mean, we were always asking how fast is the 49 class evolving in terms of techniques and their boat speeds, and so if Pete dropped out for 2 years maybe, or 1.5 years, then we'll see what happens.
What do you think? Do you think the class is caught up to him?
Well, I've thought about this long time, but I don't know. We had the discussion with Max Groy, the German guy, who said with Markus Bauer in the like 2000 until 2003, I think, or 4. And we said, Max, do you think you and Marcus would have beaten us, the 2014 or 16, Eric and Tommy? Would you have beaten them in 2004? You know, with your skills then? And they. What
did I say?
He said, yeah, for sure.
Of course he would. Would Marcus ever say anything else?
No, that was Max actually saying that. Yeah. But that was funny. So this is something I'm looking forward to, and the same with this regatta. Unfortunately, we had now already a third not sailing, but a third of the time was no races. But
I hear the waves are getting bigger. If anyone wants to go surfing tomorrow.
I want to go now. I want to at least go in the water somehow now and practice some paddling. So.
All right, Tommy. Well, look, it's great to meet you, and amazing job on your product. We look forward to seeing it. And do you have any prototypes here?
No, but I got a photo. I can send you. You can put it in the video if you want.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome. All right, check them out. How can people find out about you and Eric and your campaign? You on Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, we got a Facebook. We are called HP Sailing, so you can remember like high performance.
High performance, high and pleasant.
Or high and pleasant.
Great stuff. Hey, thank you so much, and good luck if we ever do get to go sailing, man.
All right. See you.
Cheers.
Hello, race fans. That was great. Got a chance to hear Tommy and how excited he was about his experiment there and his findings. We're just finishing up with the 49er FX racing here, and we've got the results to pull up from the day's racing. So let's just take a look through and see what's changed overnight.
Please note that our scorer is just putting in the drop now, so these results do not reflect that one race will be dropped now from this round, but it doesn't affect any of the top 5 here. So let's have a look at the results on the screen there. As we saw, just sailing really nicely after that first race is Hansen and Everson, and they sit on 23 total, or 20 net points, but you'll see they have an 11 to remove. Grail and Kunz are dropping a 10 anyway, so they'll stay in second place there. Maloney and Meats dropping an 11, similar, rounding out the top 3. And then Vicky and Annika really sailing nicely today, standing out well and looking poised.
Really
as they
different
go
set
on.
of results than the other three. You know, they had to stay at the front of the pack in each of the races. No capsizes from them. They'll be thrilled with such a heavy air performance. Not quite the same elite performance. They didn't have the breakaway speed, but they sailed the boat as well as they could, no mistakes, and were able to chug away at every race to get four decent results.
And when the drop does come in, I think Dobson and Tidy might switch places with them. I don't know. My math's not that good, but you know, other than that one misstep from the British team, they would be winning the day right now. So
yeah, there's only So actually, you're right. Dobson is in fourth and Jursak in fifth. Super close on
and
points.
that 14 was a bullet, you know. So
yeah. And then we also see Nielsen and Olsen down in sixth place there, really regretting that 19th in the first race. We should find out from them what went wrong, what held them back from the start line. But Tanzos and Etchegoyen also had a tough start to the day with an 18th in the first race. Was that one on a capsize, I think? Yeah. And then, you know, really sailed tremendously the rest of the way, 2-5-3, down in 8th place. And then we scroll down a little bit and we look at those teams really fighting to make it into the final tomorrow. Lutz and Boyka, it's pretty tight on points here. Only 62 points in 10th place down to 76 points down in 14th place. So all those teams will be looking to get that last 10th spot, right now held by Dewey Kuverts and Marie Jongens. Jongens even.
You know, despite having a really nice first race, Haley Outers, Nina Curtis unable to really get it together when the waves picked up. And I just had a walk around outside too. The wind is really high, but not quite as high as it was when it was peaking yesterday, but the waves, I think, are quite a bit bigger. And that's what's making things so difficult out there. But down all the way to 20th place, Helene Nice and Mary Runningen, along with the younger Kiwi squad, Dawson Stewart, they both drifted their way down the screen. So.
Very good racing today. You know, some of the best racers in the world facing some of the toughest conditions, and got some bad news for race fans out there. The 49er fleet has been sent in right now, and we're not going to get a chance to see them in the gold fleet just yet. We do think that the wind will peak here at about 3 o'clock and then decay. We can sail as late as 8 o'clock here. So we expect to get 49er semifinal or gold fleet racing, depending on your jargon, going today. Fans are going to have to tune in to 49er.org. We'll put the new URL up. We'll put a countdown timer on the website there, so you'll have an hour countdown from as soon as we know when they're going to go back out, and hopefully you'll join us again for more fantastic racing.
I have one quick favor to ask you guys who are watching YouTube. Comment on the side of the screen whether you think we should call this round before the finals. Should we call it gold and silver fleets, or should we call it the semifinals?
Yeah.
I have my preference, but I won't talk about that. But you let us know what you think, or let us know on Facebook, and keep an eye on right here on YouTube.
We've just looking at the comments already. So our score got busy when we had a phone call before air. We've got the updated scores now with the drop race. So thanks very much, Thomas Suba, for letting us know. We are trying to bring you the results just as quickly as we can, and we can see it doesn't change that much in the overall picture.
Dobson does move up into fourth place. There we go. Look at that.
Look at that.
Nice work, guys.
Good job, team. Everyone can head over. Those results are obviously live on 49er.org right now, and check them out, like them.
I'll tell you what else I'm going to do. I'm going to go talk to some of these girls. Maybe I'll even go live on Facebook.
Okay, yeah. Check out our 49er Sailing Facebook. Alan will get some live interviews going with these girls right after they get off the water, all waterlogged and happy or sad.
Beautiful. Good stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you shortly.